still the problem has not been solved. So ushuru umeongezwa, gharama ya maisha imeongezeka, bei ya bidhaa imeongezeka, lakini shule hazipati pesa. Wataishi vipi?
Elsewhere, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and his ally Machakos Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi have blamed the national government for ignoring the health sector across counties.
But the problem also starts with the national government. Wakati tulikuwa tuna campaign bwana MCAs wetu ambao mko hapa, sisi tulikuwa tunasema Kenya Kwanza ikishida itaongeza pesa za ungatuzi up to almost 40%. Vile vile hawa wengine wa Azimio walikuwa wanasema hivyo. What has happened? Now we are in the office. Lakini pesa imebaki Nairobi. In institutions tuko nazo huko. Ukiangalia wizara ya afya, pesa yote iko kule juu. Hapa hakuna kitu. Now what are we going to do? It is good we be honest.
They've also called on President William Ruto to replace Nakuru, who's failed to manage the sector.
I think I agree. It is high time President of the Republic of Kenya, wakati umefika aingilia haya maneno ya afya. Otherwise, the state of health in this country is going to deteriorate, is going to collapse. And that is not what we want. We do not want Kenyans to be exploited in private healthcare facilities. We have public healthcare in this country. So, rais wetu tafadhali, wakati umefika, wewe mwenyewe ni wewe, watu walikuchagua. Si hawa watu wengine wanasimamia afya ambao hawakai kama wanaelewa jinsi wa Kenya wanahangaika. I think it is not enough for Minister for Health to resign. She can be taken to other lighter duties.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has reiterated that the government's plan to eradicate illicit brew and deal with substance abuse is still on. Speaking in Nandi County, Gachagua said the crackdown is still on despite several individuals trying to deter their efforts.
Mambo ya pombe, rais wa jamhuri ameamua ya kwamba kwa miaka atakuwa rais wa jamhuri ya Kenya akiwa Mkristo. Vijana wetu hata hawatausiwa sumu na mtu ikisemekana ni pombe. Mabaa haitafunguliwa mchana na usiku. Ile mabaa ambayo iko na leseni ifunguliwe saa 11. Wale wanataka kutumia watumie saa 5 waende wakalale. Hii ya kukunywa mchana haiwezekani. Hii ya kukunywa mpaka asubuhi haiwezekani. Na I want to thank the county commissioner and your team for the good job you are doing, na muendelee. Na sisi tumeamua kama serikali hakuna county commissioner, hakuna OCPD, hakuna OCS ataenda transfer. Ukishindwa na kasi tunafutia wewe pahali wewe iko kutoka hapo unaenda nyumbani.
The 7 comes as one person has died and another is in critical condition in Mwiki, Nairobi after allegedly consuming illicit brew. Residents have blamed police officers for allowing such premises to operate after receiving bribes.
Pombe wanakunywa hata si haramu. Na si wao peke yake, kuna mtu hata sasa mataga inaendelea. Hapa Mwiki imilizangi wiki mbili kama hatujazika mtu sababu ya pombe. Na si pombe yenye iko na adabu, ni pombe ambaye mtu akienda apata 50 bob, ni tayari msajili tayari.
Hiyo mahali tulikuja hata na county tukaeka X na tukasema zibomolewe. Na mpaka wale haijabomolewa. Na hiyo ndio ile shida kubwa. Hata hawa walienda kukunywa pombe hapo.
And that's the news wire. I'm Leo Obanga.
Good morning and welcome to Monday. All right, probably looking at busy streets this morning coming off the weekend as everybody's getting round to what they will do as we go into this almost final week of March. Nothing much happening on the roads this morning. We will see some movement coming off of Thika Superhighway at some point as you then make your way into the city. But for now, it looks pretty good. As you're getting into the CBD, in and outbound traffic is not a problem. We're going to keep an eye on things and see how it opens up as we get into Monday morning. Where are you this morning? How about you let us know, just in case you run into anything. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
It's a new week, a brand new week. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Happy Monday, Ndu.
Yes.
How was your weekend?
Fine, thank you.
Iko story hapa.
Hakuna.
Hapa iko story.
Why? Why?
Huh?
Why?
Yeah, City. How about you? How was your weekend?
Good. Quiet. Peaceful. Reflective. Yes.
Very good.
How are you, Eric?
I'm well.
Did you go anywhere?
This weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Spill it.
No, I was just around Nairobi.
That does nothing for me in terms of information.
Absolutely
nothing.
You, my friend, can do a walkabout in this studio. So talking Nairobi is huge.
Yeah. No, I did a bit of a round trip yesterday to a place called Gekambura. Do you know Gekambura?
Is it somewhere in Kiambu?
Yes. Gekambura is somewhere in Kiambu. And the other side is in Kikuyu constituency, should be.
There's a song that was sung about it.
About a place with the Gekambura or the Mokambura tree.
Yes, and the old gum tree. Mary King of the Bush is here.
Yeah.
Oh. That's something else, though.
Of course it is.
Yes, it is. That's a kookaburra.
Kookaburra
sits on the old gum tree. Mary King of the bushes, he fly. Kookaburra fly. It's a kookaburra. It's a bird that's found in the southeast portion of the
can you
globe.
correct this lady, please?
Sawa, kookaburra alikuwa kwa gum tree.
And the place called Kikambura.
I'm sure.
It's a kookaburra. I'm telling you, go Google it. Or as Nani would say, Google it.
We are not googling it. We know. Anyway, tell us about Kikambura, Bana. Forget this person who has decided that Kikambura is a bird.
It's just a lovely scenic place.
I knew you went somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, not far though. It's just there.
Our resident walkabouter. Forget it.
Yes, Buana.
Yes. Who will walk about
Give him keys and fuel. Evil.
Kwisha.
It's over.
Sindio? Yeah, these car brands should work with me.
As it should be.
Hiya, let me tell you what we'll be discussing today. At 7 a.m. we'll talk about the political coalitions in this country. So we're already seeing Azimio talk this, talk the other. The various political parties already having their own conversations. We'll be joined by two people. Dr. Daniel Kanchori is a political analyst and an advocate, and Joseph Naituli is a governance analyst. They join us at 7 a.m. to have a conversation about politics of the country, what we are seeing. We are seeing stuff happening in Western Kenya. There's some what appears to be like, tough wars. We are seeing governors being heckled. We are seeing Azimio itself with leaders, each of them trying to make their party the strong one, the future of coalitions. And then at 8 o'clock, we'll be joined by the governor of Kakamega County, FCPA Fernandez Barasa. He'll be here to talk to us about steering development in the counties. We're seeing counties holding investment conferences. Even his is holding the first international investment conference in Kakamega. And why we saw the Homa Bay one, we've seen others. Why this investment conference? Yeah. And then how do we measure impact? So people have come, you've sent so much money, you've brought in people, you've talked about the potential in the county. How do you follow up to make sure that what you have done actually bears fruit? And how can the people of Kakamega look back and say, it's because of the investment conference that was held in 2024 that we are seeing these investments or this development?
Indeed.
Yeah. Keep it here for those conversations at 6:15, and we are live streaming the show on YouTube and Facebook as Kama Kawaida. If you're online, let us know. Say hello to Eric, Ndu, City, Edna. And Diego has come. He's on his way. He's coming. Say hello to him. Good morning.
Cloudy conditions this morning in Nairobi, 17 degrees. We'll see highs of 29 and highs of 31. In a partly cloudy Nakuru at 16. It's 15 and cloudy in Nyeri with highs of 29, while at 19, Kisumu is, I beg your pardon, while at 12, it's mostly clear in Eldoret with highs of 28 and lows of 12. We're looking into a clear Kisumu at 19 with highs of 33, and we'll see lows of 19. While Kakamega is clear at 17, it'll go to highs of 34. Mombasa is mostly clear at 27 with highs of 33, while Malindi at 27 is partly cloudy. We'll see highs of 33. Kampala this morning is clear at 21 with highs of 30, while Dar es Salaam is mostly clear at 26 with highs of 32. We're looking into a cloudy Johannesburg at 17 with highs of 28, while into Mogadishu at 27 is partly sunny, going to highs of 33. Addis Ababa at 14 is cloudy with highs of 27, and we'll see lows of 14. We're looking into a mostly clear Lagos at 29 with highs of 34 and lows of 28, while Kinshasa is clear at 27. We'll see highs of 33 and lows of 25. Out into Beijing, Monday afternoon is sunny at 8 degrees, highs of 17 and lows of 4. And the light rain showers in Paris at 12 with highs of 17 and lows of 7. We're looking at clear conditions at 10 in London with highs of 16, and Sunday night is cloudy in New York at 11. Coming into Monday, we'll see highs of 17 and lows of 4. So people are online this morning. Robinson Kisero. Well, okay, let's start from the top, shall we? Nimerudi. Okay, ulikuwa umeenda wapi?
Nani huyo?
Sijui. He's called R. Okay. R is back. Guess who's back? Da, da, da. Back again. Okay. I'm trying to find the other people on Facebook. And I'm trying to buy time by singing a song.
You're looking for who?
Don't worry. Let me talk to my people on Facebook who are on this morning. Namswe Elisha says, good morning. Ndu CT, Eric, Edna, Diego, have a blessed day. Tuned in from one of my favorite places, which I've never been to, Muruga. Roiro is where Pablo is this morning.
You have been to Muruga?
Have I?
Yes.
Oh.
Kefri.
I have.
Yes.
Also very beautiful, scenic. Oh.
Of course you have. And
yes,
even if you think you haven't, so long as you are on the road towards Naivasha, you will pass by Mugu.
So a place I have been before. Let me change that. Alex Odiambawere says, happy Monday and good morning. Raphael Njogu's tuning from Nakuru and says, good morning. He's live this morning. Well, that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, R is saying, Nimerudi. Okay. Habari wananchi. Well, welcome back. It's very lovely to have you here. Sabit Yusuf is also tuning in and says, have a great day ahead. Lewinsky. Do you remember that name?
Monica.
I never. Okay. I'm assuming it's a different Lewinsky who's in the room this morning and says, good morning to you. Deno Mwanza says, good morning, team. Have a happy week ahead. Bonjour, good people. Bonjour à vous. Make it a great week. Sawa. Tuned in from San Francisco. Keep up the good week. I think you meant work, but okay. Hello, great team. Greetings from Kabatini in Nakuru. Chris Adede is tuned in and says, good morning, Spice team. I'm tuned in from Utawala. Monica Oile says, happy new week, our spices. Carol Nyambura says, good morning, everybody. Looking forward to a great week ahead. And Ndu, specifically, have a blessed day. Good morning, Spice team, comma, Ndu, have a blessed day, says Jane Kinaro. Robert Zabogo is tuning from Mombasa. Rogers Nyange says, good morning from Voi. Abito the lady says, good morning, Spice family. We continue to register our condolences to the family and friends of Rita Tinina. Indeed. A big shocker for us all yesterday. Still reeling from the shock of that, actually. Kennedy Anyonya says, good morning from Pangani. Okay. Kabogo G says something. I'm not sure if I should say it on air. I don't even know what it means, but okay. Ongambachi. Team Spice. Sawa. Kabogo is in a place called Ganjoni, is locked and ready to roll. May blessings be upon you and yours, indeed to you, my friend. Good morning, Ndu CT, Eric and Nyaboke. Proverb to CT. Hata kama wewe ni karani, amuka uende kazi, uvivu ni adui wa maendeleo. That's a song. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Agola, bonjour à tous. Oui, bonjour à toi. Salut. Agri Momani says, good morning, Waku. My condolences to the entire media fraternity for the loss of Tina, indeed. Agola says there's no sound. Can you hear me?
Aski?
Sijui.
Okay.
Ivan Omondi says Team Blind is locked from our HQ in Nairobi West. All right. Good morning, team. Please check the sound. Okay, we'll have a look at that in a minute. Good morning, Ndu, CT, and Man in the Chair. Eric O'War also says no sound. Okay, we'll definitely look into that just a minute. Okay. Tuning from Hong Kong, that's where Robinson is. Miriam Wairimo says increase the volume. All right. Anne Gore's birthday is coming up on Friday, and she wants me to sing. I will sing for you on Friday. We will remember. This will be a special one. Good morning, lovely lady. Jack Oweri says, good morning, Wazito. Waking up to a less powerful voice. Let's see what's going on. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.
Kabisa. City. Where are we this week?
We're in Burundi.
Burundi.
Yes, we are in Burundi.
Okay.
Yes. And whose capital is?
Buju.
No, it isn't.
No.
So what is it?
It's called Gitega.
Gitega is a what capital?
That's the administrative capital. The economic capital is Bujumbura.
Okay.
Okay? Yes, just in case.
Yeah.
I love the proverb from this country. By the way, it is not that I did not see the proverb that you people had wanted me to actually mention today. I saw it.
Are you going to mention it this week?
This week I'll mention it. I'll find an appropriate time, say on Wednesday or so. Mention it. I have laughed. I laughed and laughed and laughed and
Very
laughed.
Very good.
You cannot hide the smoke of the hut you set on fire.
You cannot hide the smoke
of the hut you set on fire.
Bas. Yeah. That's a nice one. Yeah. Ndu?
Yes.
Headlines?
KRA noose tightens on hustlers. So there's a noose, it's being tightened, and the holder of the noose is KRA, and the one on the other end is you and me. Move by KRA to expand the tax bracket has reached the small and micro businesses. Border riders, merchants, matatu operators, among others, will now have to comply and pay up or risk losing customers who need e-Teams receipts to file taxes. Inside Kalonzo's Mount Kenya charm offensive. So there's a charm offensive. Okay. Relief on Tinubu's Niger U-turn. There's a whole kerfuffle about whether, Niger will or will not return to ECOWAS, leave ECOWAS, blah, blah, blah. Why Kindiki now wants APs given back old roles. Okay, this should be fun. Interior Ministry documents indicate the rise in lawlessness and the exposure of government property to thieves in the results. is the result of the merger between the General Police and the Administration Police. Now they're saying the AP should be given back their old duties. Sawa.
Yes.
Okay. Well, look at that. And this Health Monday on the Standard today. Okay. Look at on the front page of The Nation.
If you read it, why are you not reading it?
You take it easy. Murders that shook Kibaki's presidency, something that we're looking into in terms of extrajudicial killings. The duo that had been warned about abetting the activities of Mungiki sect is something that's taken a special today on pages 6, 7 and 8. Housing levy set for return as Ruda sends to bill today. President William Ruto will this morning sign into law the controversial Affordable Housing Bill 2023, signalling the return of housing levy deductions. Kawira Mwangaza, who is the governor of
Meru,
is telling us why she has kept off the Igembe. She has kept off of them. Now she's saying why. MP's best retreat on capping of CAS's posts. MPs have beaten a hasty retreat on their recommendation capping the number of chief administrative secretaries and instead given President Ruto the leeway to appoint as many of them as possible, reconsidering a proposed bill. Okay. That should be fun. On the back page of The Nation, we're looking at sports and what happens. The 2023 Africa Games are on. And Africa is running.
Alrighty, the Business Daily. Kenya's most expensive and cheapest loans revealed. SBM Bank and Kingdom Bank were charging the highest interest rates on personal loans by the end of last year, making them the most expensive banks in Kenya, according to the Central Bank of Kenya. Kingdom Bank, a subsidiary of the Cooperative Bank of Kenya, had the most expensive overdraft facility on personal loans, priced at 15.2% on average, followed by EcoBank, which was charging 14.7% on overdrafts. They were followed by Gulf African Bank, 14.4%, Middle East Bank, 14.3%, Guardian Bank, 14.1%, according to the data that was covering the quarter ending December 2023. I'm sure this has all changed up to now. Okay, the other headline. How Heineken lost chance as preferential buyer of Kwal. Dutch brewer failed to secure the rights to acquire 43.77% stake in the firm that distributes Amarula and Viceroy from the Kenyan government, exposing the multinational to a bidding war for the shares valued at $4 billion. The Business Daily has established that Heineken, which has a 55% stake in Kwa Holdings East Africa Limited, has no preemptive rights agreement with the Kenya government, which could have forced the state to first offer the shares to the Dutch brewer. So, Kwal is 55% owned by Heineken. Government owns the 43%. The preemptive rights don't exist. Now, a source familiar with the deal says South Africa's beverage firm Standard Group, which was last year acquired by Heineken, failed to insert the preemptive clause in a shareholder agreement with the government after it became a majority shareholder in KGEL, following the acquisition of the 26.4% stake from Centum Investments. Anyway. Ticker headlines. Unregistered agents face arrest in war on tax evading landlords. US says IFC covering up sex scandal in Kenya school. The US government has claimed that the International Finance Corporation tried to cover up reports of child sex abuse at Kenya's Bridge International Academies moments after investigations against the low-cost private school chain began. Unilever enters maize milling in revenue diversification plan. British multinational fast-moving consumer goods company Unilever PLC is set to diversify its Kenyan operations into the maize refining business to shore up margins that are under pressure on the slowing detergents business in the East and West African region. So Unilever now will be doing Onga. City, tell us about the Star, and then I can tell you what's in there.
I don't have the Star.
Oh, you don't?
I am not having the Star, but now I've changed. I am having the Star.
Now you're having the Star.
Yes.
Very good.
Top right-hand corner in Till Green, 300 billion. Moi grandchildren want audit in battle for former president's wealth. That's the story on page what? 6.
Page 6. 300 billion.
Yes.
300 billion.
Yes. There's a question mark to it. Is it really 300 billion?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Lot of money. Lot of what?
Money.
Right. Thank you very much. CS stalemate. CS Nahumichia. To meet doctors' union as medic strike enters second week. Okay. Thought they had met earlier.
Well, they have to continue meeting until the strike stops.
All right. Demand suspension. Lobby to sue KRA for 133 people locked out of jobs after mandatory HIV tests. This one is not going away.
It's not.
No, it's not going away. You can twist around and say it wasn't the HIV, it was the this, it was the that, it was the other. Unless you can explain why it is the HIV test is mandatory and what it is you do with it. Iko hapo tu. Right. Back in the middle of the paper, expanding base. Kiharu MP has toured more than 20 counties over the last 3 months alone. Ndindi Nyoro copies Ruto in early 27 race. Okay.
Allah.
New moves could rattle DP Gachagua after the youthful MP was endorsed by Moranga leaders.
He has visited how many counties?
He has visited more than 20 counties.
In 3 months.
In 3 months.
All right.
It is something we've seen before. It has been done before, but the person who sort of like rubber stamped this thing was President Ruto. Even long before he became president, long before he became deputy president, when he was just a simple minister. Okay? He was doing these things. It is always good to follow footsteps that have proved to be successful.
If the hope is that you end up where such footsteps are right now.
One can only hope.
One can only hope.
Yes. New work and pray. Ruto launches projects before worship session. There's a picture of the president, first lady, gentleman. I think this must be the governor of Narok, yes. And
Lendutu.
Yes. And there's CS Tourism, Alfred Mutua is also there. And a host of other people arriving at a church service in a place called Enosaen, Kilgoris, Narok. Okay? Very beautifully dressed. You know, it's always lovely to see people in traditional regalia. It's very pleasant to the eyes. Right. That is what is in the headlines.
The headlines of the Star.
Yes.
I've got screenshots of the People Daily and the other one called the Taifa Leo.
Screenshot is good.
Let me tell you what's in the People Daily today. How Family Feuds sacked DG Monda. Auditor queries 19.5 billion shilling legal fees at lands. The making of a bloated government. And this, of course, is on that issue of MPs and the bid to cap the number of CASs. Then the main headline in the People Daily, it's do or die talks to avert doctor strike in an effort to forestall catastrophic crisis. CS Nakumicha says issues raised by medics, including posting of interns, were beyond her ministry and invites involvement of more stakeholders, such as counties. Okay. The Taifa Leo, NYS sasa kugatuliwa, serikali ya kitaifa kushirikiana na serikali za kaunti kufanikisha mafunzo ya shirika. They are devolving NYS in short. Maombolezo mwanahabari study akifariki. This is about the death of Richard Tinina, the NTV journalist. She was in KTN until just recently. Then the main headline, hataki kubahatisha. Raila abuni mikakati kabambe ya kuhakikisha anaupata wadhifa wa tume ya AU. He's basically saying he's leaving nothing to chance. Amegawa Afrika katika mapande. Shabaha ya kwanza ikiwa kuhakikisha mataifa yote ya Afrika Mashariki yanamuunga mkono kabla ya kuelekea kwingineko barani kwa kampeni kali. He has divvied up the continent into regions.
Beginning first with ensuring
East African community. Can you guys all say it's me? Yes, then now I'll go to the others. Go to Central, go to West, go to Southern. Like that. He's not taking this thing for granted. He's not saying it's on a system. This time, ni mimi. Ni mimi.
Well, the last time he didn't say he had the system. It's his brother who said he had the system. Was it not so?
Yeah, it was so. Yeah. 27 minutes to 7. Let's take a traffic break. Tell us what's happening on the roads and we'll look at these stories in greater detail.
It's starting to build up on the Thika Superhighway as you're coming into the CBD this morning. And it's already quite heavy on Muranga Road as you head out towards Ngara. You get to Ngara and then you get to the Globe Cinema overpass. Looks like there'll be quite some activity here this morning. Also coming off of Jogo Road, Makadara at the train station is a toot all the way through towards the City Stadium roundabout. Okay, so we're going to keep traffic chugging along as we get there. Are you coming out of Westlands? I think you're fine. On Waiyaki Way, there's some traffic here and there, but nothing too painful, not for the moment at least. Southern Bypass looks good, as does the Northern. Let's take a look at what's coming off of the Eastern Bypass, and actually not much. There is some traffic on right around Cabanas getting out towards North Airport Road, and it's going to touch on Outer Ring as you get then through towards the Thika Superhighway and such other places. So we're going to keep an eye on things. It's still slim pickings. Let's see what happens as we get into traffic hour this Monday morning. And how about you let us know where you might be stuck or where you find a good route, and we'll share on SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag the Situation Room.
I am asking.
President William Ruto this morning will have a pen and he will set his signature to the Affordable Housing Bill 2023. He will sign it into law. Okay? Mm-hmm. And this will now activate the return of deductions on this housing levy. The Kenya Kwanza government had been stopped by the courts, in case you're wondering what happened. From affecting the deductions, with the court ruling that the housing levy was introduced without a legal framework. Okay, that's what had happened, and that's why all of this came to a halt. Now, however, the bill with amendments was last week approved by Parliament despite opposition from Azimio MPs. Well, that didn't really stop anything because we are moving forward, aren't we? President Ruto is targeting to construct 200,000 affordable housing units annually, which he has promised will create between 600,000 and 1 million jobs each year. The National Assembly Finance and National Planning Committee chairperson Kimani Koria said that by the president appending his signature to the bill, a new legal framework, the Affordable Housing Act 2024 will take effect. Further, the new law repeals provisions of the Finance Act, Section 84 of the Employment Act, with the insertion of new Section 31B and 31C, which the previous deductions were based on. Consequently, the new legislation will become effective with the enactment of the new law, hence no backdating. Kimani said with the enactment of the Affordable Housing Bill into law, it gives a new rise to legal framework. So whatever the court had said was the issue now becomes a non-issue. National Assembly Leader of the Majority, Kimani Ichung'wah, said no deduction will be backdated. Commencement date is upon assent, and therefore the deductions become effective immediately upon assent. In November last year, the High Court ruled that the housing levy was introduced without a legal framework, and in January this year, the Court of Appeal declined to suspend the High Court order, and so they had to basically get all their ducks in the row and go back to Parliament, and that happened. So we'll probably see in the course of this morning President William Ruto signing this bill into law.
Ni sawa, hakuna shida, si tutalipa. Hakuna shida.
Okay.
Now the headline in this one of the Standard. After years of relying on large manufacturers, importers and salaried Kenyans, the KRA has launched an aggressive campaign to fulfill President Ruto's demand for more revenues to meet his ambitious pre-election pledges by going after the hustlers. The Ruto government last year tasked KRA to collect 4 trillion from taxpayers against the 3 trillion it collected in 2022-2023 financial year. They collected 3 trillion last year.
Did he?
KRA? No, they did not.
Brian Goge. This has seen the taxman launch a new system targeting informal businesses, from border riders to Juakali artisans, from matatu operators to mamambogas. These business people will have to issue e-teams receipts for all the transactions paid. The government has made it in such a way that businesses will watch over each other and not KRA, as has been the case. The move comes months after the Kenya Revenue Authority disclosed its helplessness in collecting taxes from the informal economy, which comprises small traders, small shops, and other businesses that have long evaded the taxman's net. Any business that will file its taxes and seek refunds will have to use e-teams receipts to indicate expenses for the refunds to be effected. For example, if an employer pays taxi money for his employees and needs to mark that as an expense, he'd have to file the e-teams record, which means the taxi driver has to provide an e-teams receipt. The import is that KRA will have included this driver in the tax bracket. Same applies to eateries, hotels, and farmers. The move is likely to put scrutiny on the Ruto government at a time when businesses have complained of a huge compliance burden for small businesses. According to KRA, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, the regulatory burden for SMEs in Kenya is quite heavy. The lobby recently raised alarm about the ever-increasing cost of doing business in the country. For SMEs, the requirements from numerous agencies and national and county governments takes up a large portion of their operational costs. At a time when businesses are still reeling from the impact of the pandemic, with some facing challenges in meeting their financial obligations, this is a dire situation that calls for urgent intervention. So basically, the e-teams is being rolled out and saying everybody who's doing business with everybody else, you just produce the e-teams receipts, which shows KRA the trading that you're doing, which basically brings you into the tax bracket. Yeah, good thing or bad thing?
It doesn't matter. It is the thing. Good, bad, what?
What are you going to do?
I mean, it's not what are you going to do. There's a lot you can do. But if indeed those who are in rulership over us have deemed that this is the way in which they will solve the problems we have by raising more tax, then let us see.
They are not raising more tax.
What are they doing?
No. They are bringing more people into the tax bracket.
Yeah, but so that more people can pay. Yes, that's raising the tax.
Not raising the tax rates.
No, raising the amount of
tax collection.
Of tax
collected. The collection.
Yes.
Okay. And that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. It doesn't matter who gets inconvenience along the way. It's not really a bad thing at all.
I think we have been talking about this for a long time. We've been saying, okay, so why is it that taxes are only gotten from this small group of people and for the benefit of for this large group of people?
Yes.
KRA needs to be creative. KRA needs to find ways of tapping into the informal market. KRA needs to find ways of widening its tax bracket. KRA needs to widen its tax net.
Now they have.
This is it. I am completely in support of more people paying tax.
I personally...
Look, if you run a business, let's say, so like that example, taxi. You run a taxi business. You are making income. There's revenues that you're generating. You're running a business. If there's a tax that's due, pay. How do you pay? This is one way.
E-teams. Pay tax. Tax lazima ilipe bwana.
Yeah, widen the tax bracket. Even the one of saying that farmers should not be, why are farmers...
There never is a time when taxes are convenient. Okay? There never actually is. Even when you know full well that if you earn a certain salary, a certain amount will be taxed, you can pretend all you like that you've adjusted. You adjust painfully.
Yep.
Okay? Paying tax is not fun. Okay? So those who are hoping that they'll be happy by paying tax, you will not be happy.
The happy moment is not coming.
No. You pay tax.
Swear.
You are.
Swear.
Yes.
Swear.
Lipa ushuru. And then after liping ushuru, those whom you've elected to ensure that your ushuru does what it's supposed to do, hold them to account. Yes. Stop pitching a fit about the tax. Let the government collect the tax. When they've collected, now we put them to task.
Yep.
What have you done with our money?
Yep.
Yes.
Finally, maybe all of us can start seeing Nairobi as not a place where you go and pick money. But as a place where we are paying money and we expect it to come and serve us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we're not saying that, sasa tulichagua huyo mtu amekuja ametengeneza and no, it's your money. Now, when you say it's your money, it'll be for real. It's your money. You're a farmer, you're selling avocado, it's your money because you've paid tax. You're selling boga, it's your money because you've paid tax.
And everything that is due to you should come to you because it is your right. Why? Because you've paid for it.
Because you've paid for it now.
Yes. And we understand this concept of paying for something and getting it. When you shop, what do you think you're doing? You give someone money and they give you the equivalent, precisely the equivalent, because you choose what you want. Yeah. In this case, we know what our taxes are meant for, don't we? So we will want to see. So tax away, government. We will pay. And when we have paid, we will come and ask you what you've done with our money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why is our money? Hi, City.
You know, we really do need to do something about the mental health situation in this country. Because I was happily reading along researchers to reclaim indigenous vegetables for nutritional benefit, Calro, blah, 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 blah. Return of housing levy, a bit of a dip in my enthusiasm. It dipped further. Richard Tinina found unresponsive in a house, very sad. Then I look at the other page, which is page 3. Man hacks daughter to death. Dies by suicide in Kinangop. And I'm saying, surely. And
tell us the story.
Yes, I'll tell you the story. Residents in a village in Kinangop are trying to come to terms with an incident in which a man went berserk and killed his daughter using a machete. Okay? According to Jambini OCPD Peter Nzimbi, a man turned against his 17-year-old daughter who walked in during the attack, slashing her to death using the machete. Nzimbi said the daughter was returning home after escorting her 2 siblings to school when she found the father attacking the mother.
What?
The mother survived. Okay? He added that after the attack, the man reportedly hanged himself as the wife was seriously injured and taken to hospital. Now, this is bizarre. Then I read same page, a different story. Hours later, elsewhere, okay? As a 19-year-old girl murdered a 4-year-old child in Nyondia village in Naivasha. Yes. Now, do you understand why my spirits just dipped and then dipped and then dipped?
Wow.
Okay? Before police came to her rescue as members of the public attempted to lynch her. Now, let me tell you.
Was it her daughter?
No, it does not state.
I thought it said sibling.
19-year-old
girl, just a girl.
Okay.
Now
killed a 4-year-old.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, this has 3 stories, bizarre stories. Okay.
Third one.
Meanwhile, in Naivasha again, police are holding a teenager who wooed a neighbor's daughter and strangled her before dumping her body in a quarry.
Guy.
3 stories, 1 headline.
All involving teenagers.
One
is a teenage victim, 2 are teenage perpetrators.
Yes, and then the man and his wife had disagreed. The wife was estranged, as the report says. He decided to come and slash her. Man, this is not something to look at and to just discuss. Something has to be done, man. Every single day. It's one bizarre story. Now we've involved the youth.
Yeah.
Now young people are involved. What on earth is this?
Now. Very poor showing.
This is a sad story. Very sad story. Yeah. The government knows that we have a mental health crisis in this country.
They do.
The government does not want to address the fact that we have a mental health crisis.
No, they do not want to address this problem.
It's alcohol. Ni pombe ndio inasumbua watu funga bar.
Pombe becomes a problem because of the mental health situation. That's where Pombe comes in. Pombe finds an avenue. And now they've gone silent on the Pombe issue, haven't they?
Oh my God. I'm tired.
Hey.
I mean, Monday morning shouldn't start like this.
For goodness sake.
Yeah.
Split the police, says Kindiki. Give APs all roles to rein in insecurity. The Ministry of Interior wants the administration police given back their traditional role, citing a surge in crime. One must ask, why did you remove them in the first place? Okay. Exclusive documents obtained by the Standard raise alarm over heightened security threats and sluggish responses to criminal activities after the merger of police units into one service. Okay? This merger, according to the documents, has worsened insecurity.
Okay.
According to the document titled Policy Guidance and Direction on the Establishment of the National Government Administration Police Unit, it is important to note that some officers have lost their lives due to this exposure. This situation tends to instill fear among officers, negatively affecting their performance and overall service delivery. And when there's, negative performance and overall service delivery, you tend to see things like crime go through the roof. The AP now serve under the National Police Service, which was established in 2011 under Article 243 of the Constitution, following the dissolution of the Kenya Police Force and Administration Police Force. The NPS is under the overall and independent command of the Inspector General of Police, who is appointed by the President and approved by Parliament. The Administration Police Service is headed by a Deputy Inspector General.
Yeah.
Now, during the launch of a policy framework and strategy for reorganization of the NPS, former President Uhuru Kenyatta stated that the merger aimed to eliminate waste, duplication, and overlap duties. So that's why they said, look, so many people are doing the same thing. Bring them all together and let's streamline this thing. Now, the Interior Ministry argues that there has been a prolonged turnaround time in proactively responding to distress, emergencies, insecurity and conflict, especially at the grassroots level. This delay has hampered crime prevention efforts, undermined security coordination and impeded law enforcement. So the ministry is now saying this has had an adverse effect on crime and fighting it. So what we need to do is separate these guys and let's put them back at making sure that they can fight crime.
I don't get
through
it.
a long-winded thing, but that's what he's saying at the end of the day. Give APs back their old roles. If APs have their old roles...
Which was what?
Okay. Now, you start. Now, there has been an adverse effect on security coordination, crime prevention, maintenance of law and order, promotion of peace and service delivery. Urgent redress is required with the establishment of a National Government Administration Police Unit NGAPU being the solution. It highlighted the vulnerability of government offices, particularly at the county level, to theft, arson and other criminal activities due to a decline in the support from the National Police Service since the implementation of policy reforms in 2010.
So APs were watchmen. Go on.
Essentially. Now, most national government offices at the county level remain unguarded, posing safety and security risks to property, assets, documents and data. Incidents of theft, arson and break-ins have been reported in several counties. So essentially they want the APs put back in those places because once you removed them, crime went up. So bring them back so that they can instill law and order.
Okay.
Got it? NGAPU, according to them, according to the report, will provide security and support to the National Government Administration offices, otherwise known as NGAUs. Safeguard officials and government property and combat alcohol and drug abuse. There it is.
So they'll just go back to being Askaria chief. Basically, because that's what APs were. In every chief's office and the DO's office, there were APs,
yes.
right?
Remember, even along Mombasa Road, you park your car here
And
for
then
like 3 minutes,
places,
a guy just shows up.
But you know something, if you look at the genesis of all this, it underscored a certain need to keep natives in check.
So there were administration.
Yes, chiefs were to oversee the good behavior of natives. And to ensure that this happened, and natives were just Africans, black Africans, they were given police who were called administration police. That was their job. Okay?
Yep.
So now, are we being told by the good professor that this is what they want the APs to do yet again? And yet, you're talking about disciplined forces, you're talking about police officers of whatever ilk. These are by far the most trained. They're paramilitary trained.
And people are afraid of them.
Who are the APs?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, but then they were being misused by they're guarding.
Some people use them as
the airport fence.
Yes, somebody use them as private property. This is a problem.
Now, according to Kindiki, what you need to do is now revive that because we've seen at the county level that cases of crime have risen, arson have risen, theft of data, theft of one other things, and drug and alcohol abuse also.
Okay. So why can't you just deploy police officers to those government offices? Why must you have...
He says that there's no cooperation from the NPS to have that done.
But it's the same.
Well, yeah. What?
That's what he said.
There's no cooperation from what?
What?
Look, there's one IG and 2 deputy IGs.
Yes.
One deputy IG is in charge of administration police.
Yes.
All right? But then at the local level, at the county level, at the police station, there is an OCS who's in charge of all officers there.
Yes.
There's an OCPD who's in charge of all officers in the division, and so on and so forth. If the issue is that we need more security to go and sit at the governor's office, so deploy. Does it have to be called AP wearing a different uniform to go and sit at the governor's office?
I repeat, he said, the Interior Ministry argues there has been a prolonged turnaround time in proactively responding to distress, emergencies, insecurity and conflict, especially at the grassroots level. This delay has hampered crime prevention efforts, undermined security coordination and impeded law enforcement because all of these people are together. So according to his argument, if you separate these people again, you're not going to have to go and start asking NPS, give us people because there's this issue here. Now, according to what he's saying, separate these guys, give us these APs, and we know that this is what they're going to be doing. We're going to put them there anyway.
Wait, he's a good professor.
So basically,
wait, man.
We want to have, so the chief can now respond faster.
Yeah,
and the chief will respond
there.
faster than an OCS.
Yeah. Because he has his guys there already.
I still don't get it.
So the OCS are slow in deploying officers in cases of insecurity.
Yes.
Where there's an incidence of insecurity, it's been reported to a police station.
And
the OCS has a problem identifying wewe ni AP usiende. Wewe ni
ulikuwa kwa hiyo kitu ingine hebu ngoja kidogo.
I still don't get it. You know I don't get it. You know I still don't get it. You have police men and women deployed to very many quarters, very many places.
Yeah.
And when they're there, the reporting lines are clear and their jobs are also clear. When you have police officers at the airport, they are at the airport. Their work is within the airport. Now, if APs were deployed there, it would be the same. Are you telling me that we are not able to deploy policemen or APs to chiefs?
Yes.
If that is the case?
Yes. He's also, guess what? Can I even make you happier? This Ngapu that he wants to create, guess who he has to go and ask to do it? The Inspector General of Police.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got to go back to him and say, you know what? This is the only way because you guys have not been able to just create this unit, do it very quickly so that we know that at the county level, for the installation of law and order, these are the people who are going to do it. So please, form that unit very fast and let's keep it moving. The
problem we had is we still wanted to retain some things. Maybe we should not have had 2 deputy IGs because you still have in the mind 2 separate police units. Because you see, we have in the National Police Service, we have traffic, we have GSU, we have wacha IP kwanza, IP hapa kwa huyu moja, traffic, kawaida police, you have GSU, you have diplomatic police, you have anti-terror police, you have Kenya Railways police,
you have rapid deployment and
tourism police.
Yes.
All of them, those are different units, but under what?
MPS.
Under this one. Then there's under this DG for
this
National
and then
Police.
we have special squads.
And then now you have those special and then you have this other old unit called the AP who were brought, but then they still came with their deputy IG and the issue now has been trying to merge them into, maybe we should not have had this deputy IG.
Just one.
So it becomes, it's one IG and a deputy, and this AP is a specialized unit. Yes. Because they undergo this specialized kind of training, the paramilitary training, and this is their role. But not to take, they don't go through paramilitary training so that they can go with chiefs. Chiefs, assistant chiefs, and assistant county commissioners are increasingly targeted by criminals due to their crucial role in national government administration and the fight against crime. Cases of victimization, assault, and arson of chiefs' offices and homes while on duty are a common occurrence. This according to that report, basically justifying Watia chief police.
Is that the whole story really? Because in many cases, there is a counter story that part of the reason why chiefs get targeted is because, one, they participate in some of these activities and they take sides.
And the community knows.
And the community knows exactly what they do. Because of the numbers of chiefs we have in the country, a very small number are attacked. So why these few? And even in the areas where these chiefs are attacked, there are others who are not attacked. So why these?
One must ask. Because this Ngapu that wants to be formed, this unit is not going to be made up of anything anybody else other than administration police.
But now they'll not be reporting to the local OCS, they'll be reporting to the local chief.
Yes.
This government seems to think that when you keep changing things, you make it better. It doesn't quite work that way. Not really. No. There are things I don't understand. I've just added to the list of things I don't understand.
Put NYS to stand watchmen at government offices.
But they do a very good job.
Fantastic.
They do a very, very good job because they are disciplined.
We don't have armed robberies in this place. So you don't need an officer with a gun to stand at the county assembly.
No, you don't.
Or the governor's office.
Put NYS.
So we stop people stealing.
For goodness sake.
Put NYS. They work.
Imagine you go and train those guys for so long. You take them to where you take them to Magadi. They run. Guy goes, kazi yake ni kumwaga pombe.
Come on, man.
Askari, mwaga hii pombe.
Chukua huyo, weka ndani. Let's take a moment to pray for the soul of Rita Tinina, who passed, rather her body was found yesterday. Of course, renowned journalist, a friend of many, and did her job really well. It's unfortunate that we have to bear that loss, and just ask that her soul rest in peace.
Indeed it is. It's a very, very sad story. For those of us who knew Rita for many, many years, it was a shocker. Yeah. Praying for her family, praying for her young daughter, that may find peace and strength in these trying times. Keep it here for more conversations. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to have two guests joining us, talking about the politics of the country. And then at 8 o'clock, we'll have the governor of Kakamega County ahead of investment conference and trying to understand what counties are doing to raise revenue, to create spheres and levels of development in their units. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room, live on SpiceFM, on YouTube and on Facebook. Good morning, 7 a.m.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubagda. President William Ruto will today morning assent to the Affordable Housing Bill to pave the way for the return of the housing levy deductions. Speaking in Transmara, Ruto affirmed yet again that he'll be signing into law the bill that was passed by both chambers of parliament in concurrence. Both the Senate and the National Assembly passed the bill last week, with amendments introduced, including bringing county governments to the fold.
Kesho mimi naenda kuweka sahihi sheria ya housing, kwa sababu hiyo housing tayari kuna vijana 1,130 wanafanya kazi kwa program ya housing.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has reiterated that the government's plan to eradicate illicit brew and deal with substance abuse is still on. Speaking in Nandi County, Gachagua said despite several individuals trying to deter their efforts, they won't stop at it.
Mambo ya pombe, rais wa jamhuri ameamua ya kwamba kwa miaka atakuwa rais wa jamhuri ya Kenya akiwa Mkristo. Vijana wetu hawatahusiwa sumu na mtu ikisemekana ni pombe. Mabaa haitafunguliwa mchana na usiku. Ile mabaa ambayo iko na leseni ifunguliwe saa 11. Wale wanataka kutumia watumie saa 5 waende wakalale. Hii ya kukunywa mchana haiwezekani. Hii ya kukunywa mpaka asubuhi haiwezekani. And I want to thank the county commissioner and your team for the good job you are doing, na muendelee. Na sisi tumeamua kama serikali hakuna county commissioner, hakuna OSPD, hakuna OCS ataenda transfer. Ukishindwa na kasi tunafutia wewe pahali wewe iko kutoka hapo unaenda nyumbani.
The 7 comes as one person has died and another is in critical condition in Mwiki area, Nairobi, after allegedly consuming illicit brew. Residents have blamed police for allowing such premises to operate after receiving bribes.
Pombe wanakunywa hata si haramu. Na si wao peke yake. Sisi kuna mtu hata sasa mataga inaendelea. Hapa Mwiki imilizangi wiki mbili kama hatujazika mtu sababu ya pombe. Na si pombe yenye iko na adabu. Ni pombe ambayo mtu akienda apata 50 bob. Ni tayari, ni sajili tayari.
Hiyo mahali tulikuja hata na county tukaeka X na tukasema zibomolewe. Na mpaka wale haijabomolewa. Na hiyo ndio ile shida kubwa. Hata hawa walienda kukunywa pombe hapo.
The Parliamentary Health Committee will today visit the Kenyatta National Hospital to assess its performance. The committee, led by Ndebes MP Robert Bukose, aimed to identify some of the problems the facility is facing, as well as some of the prosperities or successes, with an aim of presenting a report with recommendations to improve its services. This follows numerous complaints from patients over the laxity of health workers in handling patients, as well as the quality of services most patients received when admitted at the facility. Despite President William Ruto promising that farmers will get subsidized fertilizer at the right time, people living with disabilities and widows in Bungoma County say efforts to get fertilizer from NCPB depots have been futile. Led by Bishop Alex Masika, they say that there has been an overwhelming number of people waiting in line to receive the product.
Sasa kama mimi namna hii na fimbo yangu hii, mimi siwezi kuenda hata kwa zero board ati napanga laini. Ndani yangusa hata nanguka chini. Serikali tumikumbukeko kama walemavu nyako area hii.
Sasa unapata wamama waka hapo viwete hawezi kusimama. Na mbolea yenyewe haionekani. Mbolea yenyewe watu wa makari wanakuja, wale wa maroli ndio wanapepa mbolea nyingi. Lakini sisi wa mfuko moja ama 2-3 hatupati. Sasa tunaomba tu Lusaka aangalie.
Bishop Masika, however, urged those who will be fortunate to receive the subsidized fertilizer to make good use of it.
Na mbolea inasemekana ya kwamba inatakana iuzwe shilingi 2,500. Hakika hata mimi nilipoenda huko ninunue ili nipeane kwa hao wamama sikuipata. Ilipiti niende kwenye duka na mbolea ya duka iko juu sana, ni shilingi 6,000, ambayo hakika wamama hawa ama watu wengi ambao hawako hapa, watu wasiochiweza, hawawezi kununua. So ni mimi naomba tu ya kwamba hilo jambo waliangalie na waone vile chinzi wanaweza saidia wakulima, kwa sababu tena inji ikikosa chakula ni tatizo.
Journalists have continued to send their messages of condolences to Rita Tinina, terming her as a woman who loved her family and country and who worked with notable dedication. The Kenyan television journalist died yesterday morning in her house in Nairobi's Kileleshwa area, where her sister found her unconscious in her bedroom. Her sister said Tinina was epileptic and had a 5-day-old severe fever before she was found dead. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
At a few minutes after 7 o'clock, traffic is heavy on the Eastern Bypass. It's inbound, and we're also looking at some of that going towards Outer Ring. So that's going to be busy for most parts of the morning. Look at Manyanja Road, very busy traffic coming on through towards Outer Ring as well. And it's also busy on Kangunda Road today, in and outbound traffic. It's going to cross over at some point towards Jogoo Road coming in from Manyanja. That's very busy as well. Coming past the Makadara train station out towards the junction at the City Stadium. All right. Also, traffic is starting to build up on Landis. That's going to look busy. Let's take a look at what's going on Thika Superhighway, because traffic is heavy this Monday morning, and it's coming in all the way from Githurai. Heavy, finding its way through towards the Pangani underpass. It doesn't look good this morning, guys, and it's going to need a lot of patience as you get into the city. The service lanes are working, so you want to think about using those. Kiambu Road is also busy. We're looking at a number of lanes trying to get towards Muthaiga Square, as well as on Limuru Road this morning. That's busy. Are you coming off Waiaki Way? It's busy as well. James Gishero is going to spill over towards the Red Hill Link Road in no time. We're not even in traffic hour yet, and this is what it looks like. Okay, let's hope that Monday morning is free of all accidents. Let's keep an eye on things and see how it progresses. Help us out, folks. We'll talk. SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Yeah, many people turned up at the open day on Saturday in Lanet at the Serenity Springs City. Many went.
And what did they see?
Oh, I think they'll tell us in due time. But based on the feedback that they were giving, the visitors' book that they were signing and giving their feedback.
The visitors' book was well visited.
It was very well visited. People came in there and they said, tumekuja, tumeona this development in Lanet. It's called Serenity Springs. It's beautiful. It's touching tarmac. The road from Nakuru to Ol Kalou, all tarmac road. It's in Lanet. From here, they could see. Well, we've just passed several schools. We have been told the airport is on this side. In fact, some of them even went to the airport and they're like, this is a place to invest in. So, tell us what we're talking about, City.
Well, what we're talking about is land. Land that, should you be prepared to purchase, will afford you some very quiet, very pleasant living. The asking price is 1,499,000 shillings for a deposit of 10%. You can start your journey to owning it. Now, every time land is advertised in this country, you're told all sorts of things. One is touching tarmac. What often that means is that from the tarmac, you drive in a kilometer inside before you actually get to any. On this one, the perimeter fence, which is concrete, is literally on the road. You see it. It's not something that you need to look for. It's there.
Yep.
You have electricity. You have a borehole. You have a free area that is designated for amenities within the plot. Should you find that the asking deposit is too much, they're telling you, come, let us talk. You don't have to pay at once. You can pay 3 installments, 6 installments, 12 installments. But the important thing is, if you have an interest, please avail yourself and talk.
Indeed.
Have a discussion about it.
Indeed.
Yes.
Username Investment Limited, that's a company that's developing this particular one, and they'd like you to talk to them. Call them 0725 000 222. That's 0725 000 222. Or SMS the word plot to 20321. They'll call you back and you can have a conversation. We're joined by 2 guests in the studio. We're going to be talking about very many things that are happening in the country currently. Dr. Daniel Kanchori is a political analyst and an advocate, and Professor Joseph Naituli is a governance analyst. Gentlemen, good morning.
Can you change good morning? Can you change that to Getile Naituli?
Getile Naituli. I know, this is the name that everybody knows you by. Professor Getile Naituli, karibu sana to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much.
Finally, you're in the hot seat of the Situation Room.
That is wonderful.
Good to have you here.
Good morning.
Dr. Kanchori as well, karibu sana.
Asante nashukuru.
Kenya's the hot seat of the Situation Room. How does it feel?
I'm up to the task.
Very good. Very good. We'll discuss what's happening in the country shortly. As we do that, also reminding everybody why EcoBank is the Pan-African Bank.
Okay, well, we'll do it one more time. The fact that you can have 35 different African markets all plugged into one platform for one bank means that wherever you go, whatever you do in terms of your business, that you will continue as though you never left. It's seamless, and EcoBank says that because you have this platform, you're all right getting through with your banking needs and your banking processes. So it's a better way to do business, and because it's a better way, it's a better Africa.
Kabisa. Siti, welcome the gentleman with the day's proverb.
Yes, our proverbs for the whole of this week come from the Republic of Burundi. Yes, there's a question that I asked at the beginning of the show, and I'm going to ask it of you. What is the capital of Burundi?
Bujumbura.
Bujumbura.
Well, yes, it is a capital of sorts, but that's the economic capital. The administrative capital is a place called Gitega. Many African countries actually have that, which means in Kenya we also need to have one. Probably we should have our administrative capital in what? Isiolo, perhaps?
Isiolo is the center of Kenya.
Yes, exactly.
And Kitengela also.
That's good thinking. Yes, but Kitengela is very near Nairobi.
Kitengela is within the Nairobi metropolitan area.
Kitengela is in Nairobi.
It's a very good suggestion, but we already have Nairobi, so why do we need Kitengela? And Kitengela is really within Nairobi.
Kitengela is white. Because it extends
Isiolo
up to...
would be very appropriate.
Isiolo would be appropriate for Professor Getile Naituli. I can see that. Although Tokto can actually be a very good place.
See, now,
here we go.
Okay. All right, fine. Okay.
Why don't
The proverb city.
The proverb for the day. You cannot hide the smoke of the heart you have set on fire.
You cannot hide the smoke of the heart that you have set on fire.
You know, heart here is not H-E-A-R-T.
It would actually work though.
Yes, exactly. Umewakisha moto roho ya mtu.
We are Kenyans.
Yes.
When you hear heart, mtu anashindwa ni roho, ni nyumba, ni kuumia, ni kofia.
No, si hiyo.
Heart as in nyumba.
Heart as in nyumba.
Okay. Sio kofia.
Hapana, sio kofia.
Okay.
Sio roho.
Okay. Sio kuumia.
Hapana. Haina uhusiano wote na mapenzi.
Unfortunately.
Nyumba.
You cannot.
Manyata.
Thank you so much. See, now that one, there's no debate there after.
Yes.
Hiyo tumefunga.
You cannot do what?
You can't hide from the smoke of the heart you have set on fire.
All right. Dr. Kanchori, what's your interpretation of this proverb?
I want to interpret from the Maasai context. Now we have that small manyata. Once we use the cow dung. And it's a good mosquito repellent, natural mosquito repellent. So if there is a cause effect in everything that you do, so consequences for everything. That's it.
There are consequences for everything.
True, simple, and to the point.
Prof, what's your interpretation?
I'll look at it differently. I think a little deeper meaning that it's hard to find the truth. You can lie as much as you want, but the truth will still be out there and eventually win temporarily. The lie may carry the day temporarily, but eventually to be exposed. You see, you already the fire is out there, the smoke is already rising, and that would describe what we do here very well, because we seem to have accepted lying as a way of doing business, but it's very hard to find the fact that it is still a lie.
You can lie as much as you want.
Yes.
But we will see it.
Yeah, we will see it.
Okay.
We will see for what it is. Yes.
I want to read you two headlines in the papers today. One is the Daily Nation. Housing levy set for return as Ruto ascends to the bill today. President Ruto will this morning sign into law the controversial affordable housing bill, signaling the return of the housing levy deductions. The KK government had been stopped by the courts from effecting the deductions, with the court ruling that the housing levy was introduced without a legal framework. And then now that went to Parliament, bill passed in Parliament, and if the President assents to it today, it means that we start getting back into the deductions of housing levy. Headline in the Standard. KRA news tightens on hustlers. Move by KRA to expand the tax bracket has reached the small and micro businesses. Border riders, merchants, matatu operators, among others, will now have to comply and pay up or risk losing customers who need e-TIMS receipts to file. First reaction, Prof.
I would think that somebody is already drafting a challenge in court, a petition over that law. As soon as it is signed, then you can actually move to court and challenge it. You see, there is one weakness that law is not going to be able to overcome. The fact that the money is from the public, and the fact the land is also from the public. So you can't use the public money and the public land and then sell those houses. The only thing you can do is to hand over those houses to national housing and allow people to rent. Alternatively, get an inventory of citizens who are homeless in every county. And once those houses are complete, then they ballot and occupy them for free. Because you can't sell, there is no logic in selling those houses. But I think what is even more challenging is the fact that you will contribute to that as a tax now because it's a tax, right? But you don't even know who is about to occupy or who qualifies to buy those houses. You have no idea. So this levy, the housing levy, in my opinion, I don't know what is driving it. And I'm not sure that the law, the court referred to, because there is something also happening to our courts, which a bit interesting, that the court declared something illegal and then does not correct it. You see, a court cannot make a declaration in vain. So this thing was declared unconstitutional. And I believe that bill, which is now law, is still, which is now an act, I believe is still unconstitutional because of all the various things that was supposed to create institution. The housing, national housing is still there. It couldn't have surrendered the provision of the housing to that entity. They didn't. Okay, it's still being run by the ministry. So I think there wouldn't be a challenge very soon. But I see the housing in the same light I saw with those employment of Kenya Revenue Authority. The court declared it unconstitutional in violation of Article 232. Then together with Article 27, Article 10, and yet it did not nullify the appointment. You see that the court now is playing politics because the law is about to be blind. If you find something illegal, it is illegal. End of story. So you can find something illegal and still maintain it. Maintain an illegality. The courts of law were not supposed to do that. They were not created to do that. They were created to pronounce themselves with the finality
on the matter. Wakili Kanchori, what's your view?
Thank you. The government is hell-bent to have the housing levy see the light of the day. And from my own observation, this is a surest and easiest way to get money to run what the deputy president says empty coffers of the government. So I think it was a crafty, wise way by the government to get money quickly because it's an easy way. Once you have a salary at the end of the month, so it's an automatic way to get money to run the government. And I think...
so you don't think the money will go to building houses? Or what do you mean by running government?
You know, we are told that they inherited the empty coffers. So I think the people behind the scenes did the government a big favor on this housing levy because how else was the government going to run? And as you see, after the many court battles there, the president is still upbeat, and I think I don't know if by now he has already signed it, but he signed it, we expect he promised that he's going to do it early this morning. So this was an easy way for government to run, and anybody who was going to challenge this was going to do it in vain. It was unstoppable. And I think this is one of the Kenya Kwanza government policies, that the housing levy, whether the houses are going to be there or not is another thing. But it was for sure the only way to pick the government on its needs. The other thing is the legality of it is neither here or there. We've seen the president yesterday in Kilgoris saying that in their last discussion between him and the Chief Justice, that this was a negotiated thing. So anybody trying to run to court, I think Prof is already overtaken by event. And you saw and you say
captured. Are you now telling us?
No, what I'm hearing you say is that if I hear you correctly, are you suggesting or interpreting what the president says as meaning that the Chief Justice is the sum total of our judicial system?
I'm just reporting. The context in which this is happening, and you also saw the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga saying that this is a good thing. That it was also even in their plan. So when you put these two things together, I think something that we just now have to live with it.
But let's dissect this thing. I mean, housing, the building of houses, is it a bad thing?
No, actually, I support the building of houses because when you see the Kenyan population, we are told, if you see the statistics, the young generation is almost 50% of the population. These are the people that in the next, more than 50 actually, in the next 10, 15 years they will require housing. So maybe that is the basis for all this. For Prof here, you might not need the house.
What makes you think the Prof won't need the house?
You have asked a very good question. Whether
for the young people, they will soon, it is a crisis actually in waiting.
I think the question you asked actually begs an answer.
Yes.
Whether the question should actually be whether do we actually need houses? Yes. What is our priority? Is it houses? You walk here today in Nairobi to any of our estates, the advertisements for rental, they are all over the place.
Yes.
Okay? Now when you see that, you can also begin to imagine that the rental prices are also affordable. And that is why everyone is trying to attract customers. Question is, this is misdirected energy. Okay? It's a misdirected energy. It's a lazy man's way of trying, like he said, to get money. Now, I don't know whether he's running the government because, first of all, the statement that the government offers or empty is a statement for ignorant people, for people who don't know how government works. There is no time the government is going to have money locked somewhere in a safe. Government doesn't have money in a safe. The government money is consumed as it's coming in. So you can't come and say, I found 200 trillion, whatever. You can't. Now, what should we be talking about it today? We should not be discussing housing.
Why not?
Because there is nobody living outside. There is nobody who is not living anywhere.
Are you sure?
We should. That I'm certain.
You're sure?
We don't have homeless people. How many do you have in Nairobi?
What do you define?
Do we have statistics?
What do you define as a home, Prof?
Well, what I define as a home is a home that a Kenyan owns. Okay. There was a mzee somewhere in the social media who said, "Nani ana kwao." You can't find most Kenyans who really don't have a home somewhere. This is not
Not a home somewhere.
Yeah.
So you have a home in Shags, but you're living in Nairobi. Are you living in a home?
But who told you that I want to settle in Nairobi? You are taking my money.
You are right now
to
in
give
Nairobi,
me a home.
Prof. No. Prof, you are right now in Nairobi.
Yes. I'm in Nairobi, but who told you I want to live in Nairobi?
It doesn't matter. You are in Nairobi today. Did you sleep in a house?
Yes, I did.
Has everybody who's in Nairobi slept in a house
of
the same quality as the house you slept in?
I would actually answer in the affirmative on that one.
Right.
And that's why I would say...
And this is a house that has proper wall.
Yeah.
Proper floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Proper roofing.
Yeah.
Has water running.
Yeah.
Has a toilet.
Yeah. You realize now you're actually going somewhere.
Yes, I am.
If we are doing urban upgrade, and we are now building these houses for people who live in Mathare, who live in Mukuru Kwanjenga, we would be making sense. But is that where we are building these houses?
So the question to you, Prof.
Yes.
The people that you've just described, those in Mathare, those in Mukuru Kwanjenga,
yes.
Do they have a need for housing?
They do. But that's not what we are doing.
So your earlier statement that nobody has a need for housing is therefore false?
No, it was false. Okay. Because that was an Angulubo statement.
So there's a need for housing?
There is a need. But there is a need for forecast.
And there is a need for housing based on statistics?
Yeah.
And the statistics from the National Bureau of Statistics show that in urban areas, many people live in what would be considered informal settlements.
Yes.
A sizable population.
Exactly.
50% if not more.
Yes.
Is that a crisis or is that not? 50% of Nairobi residents, who are how many? According
question
to
to you
4
now.
million.
Question to you now.
We are closer to 5 million.
Yeah.
So
now,
if more than 2 million people, Prof,
yes,
live in what is not considered proper housing,
yes,
is there a crisis or is there no crisis?
I wouldn't call it a crisis, and that's why I would allow the public sector to provide those houses, but not in government. Or rather, the public sector provides. Because you see, I saw an advertisement for selling the affordable houses in Nakuru. And I would wish they can remove that label affordable. And the houses were going for 4.3 million. That is exactly what the private sector is selling for the same houses.
Can I ask a question? So we are saying that, first of all, in terms of priority, this is not a priority for government. If we saw that the same mechanism was used, but implemented in a different sector, would we have the same issue? For example, if health, for example, was selected, or education, and the government came up with a new levy and said, you know what, for the last 50 years, we've been having an issue with health or education in this country. And what we're going to do is that we're going to ask everybody to now contribute just a little bit more towards this program, so that every single Kenyan can have the opportunity for uninterrupted quality healthcare round the clock. Would it, or education, or to ensure that every child, no matter where they were, would be in class with a fully functional classroom, and that every school would have all the amenities and facilities that they needed to deliver an education? Would we be all right with that? That would be
perfect. And I wish they are listening to you now from that statement you just issued. You see, you walk out here right now, go to any dispensary in Nairobi, you may find a nurse or someone to describe some medicine for you, but you still must go out and buy. So if we stocked our dispensaries with the necessary medicine for our people, we improved the capacity for those doctors to evaluate your sickness and so on. We ironed the 4,000 doctors, not ironed. We are able to place those interns who are now the reason for the strike in their place, so that we are creating an environment where the Kenyans are proper. That people will pay. The Kenyans will gladly pay. The people having issues with this housing, because it looks like a method of transferring public resources to individuals. Because the public, you cannot have a situation where public land, whether it's owned by the county or the national government, is transferred to an individual. The whatever fellow is building those houses, and then use our money to build, and we are getting no benefit. So what you just saying, if that is what they are doing, trust me, the Kenyans will probably choose even to sleep hungry for a day and they support the government
and support other Kenyans for the support of other Kenyans.
Yes. Because that is well thought through, that is something that is deliverable, that is something that is even immeasurable.
So Kenyans have no problem with the new universal health coverage?
I don't think they should have. What they should worry is whether that money will be stolen.
And paying to shift.
They only should worry whether that money actually will go now to providing health to the people of Kenya. Because our problem also is the elephant in the room is also the corruption. That we collect this money, but that is where the corrupt dip their fingers.
Kachori?
When you read our constitution, Article 43(1)(b) actually talks about housing. And it talks about accessible, adequate housing with reasonable sanitation. So it's not just having a room where you get in and get out, but the environment. And I want to give the government the benefit of doubt. If you see other jurisdictions globally, when you visit, I've been in Singapore just the other day, and they say every 8 minutes a 4-bedroom house is completed there. So, and the kind of housing they have built, here in Kenya we have shanties. People just wake up, build a house here and there. But what the government is doing actually is it's not new only in Kenya. It's something that is happening globally. And housing is actually a crisis in waiting in Kenya, and we don't have to wait to firefight. I think it's good planning, and every Government needs to have its plan. We have failed in the past, and the fact that we have not been doing things right in the past, we don't have to wait what our good professor is saying now to put the fire off. No, let's do good planning. We have already seen the statistics. The young generation is more than 50%. They will need housing. We don't need to have... You remember the governor of Nairobi saying that Nairobi is actually soon becoming a slum. Yeah, that is coming from the governor of the capital city of Kenya. So
is that not a very unfortunate statement coming from the governor?
It's a reality. Sometimes it's unfortunate, but it's a reality.
Actually, the reality is in the governor, not so much the housing. He's telling us something that we live with. He's elected to ensure these things cease to be, that there is an improvement. But when he states as a fait accompli that this is the situation, is he telling us he's given up so that we should just accept that the slum-like situation we have in this county and the informal settlements will continue, and that is a matter of reality?
And you see again, this affordable housing is not just happening in Nairobi; it's happening across all the counties. You know, in the past we've just been getting everybody coming to Nairobi. That's where you will get housing and all that. Now we are going to have decent houses all over the country, in all the counties. Yeah, so that's a good thing.
Let's take a break. It's 26 minutes to 8. We're having a conversation this morning with Dr. Daniel Kanchori. He's a political analyst and an advocate, and Professor Kitila Naituli, who's a governance analyst. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, live on SpiceFM, on KTN Home, on YouTube and Facebook. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. We'll see highs of 28 and lows of 16, lows of 15 and highs of 30 in Nakuru, and we'll see highs of 29 and lows of 16 in Nyeri. It's sunny at 15 in Eldoret, going to highs of 28 and lows of 14, while sunny at 28 in Mombasa. It's 27 and sunny in Malindi. Sunny at 20 in Kisumu, going to highs of 33, and we'll see highs of 34 in a sunny Kakamega at 18. Kampala is sunny at 21 with highs of 30, while Dar es Salaam at 27 is sunny, going to highs of 32. 17 and cloudy in Johannesburg with highs of 24, while Mogadishu at 29 is sunny with highs of 33. Addis Ababa at 14 is sunny with highs of 27. And we're looking at a clear Lagos at 28, going to highs of 34. And at 26, Kinshasa is cloudy, going to highs of 33. All right, so here we are with a lot of traffic getting into the city this morning. Coming off the Thika Superhighway, we're coming in from Githurai hot, all the way through then past Kasarani and out towards the Pangani underpass. It's touching on Muranga Road, and it's going to be that way for some time. Kiambu Road now, we're going towards Karura Gate C entrance, and that traffic is busy on Kiambu Road. Coming in then through Westlands on Waiyaki Way, that's busy. And let's take a look at James Gishuru, which is busy all the way through towards the junction. We're going to see a spillover towards Red Hill Link Road at some point. All right, as you're coming in then on Ngong Road, heavy coming in from Naivasha Road, from Jamhuri, and all the way through past the junctions heading out towards the city. Also then some of that spills over towards Riara Road and then out towards James Gishuru. We're keeping an eye on this. Langata Road doesn't look too bad for now, so you want to get on it and get through that real quick as you get into the CBD. Let's talk SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Our conversation continues with our two guests, Professor Kitila Naichuli, who is a governance analyst, and Dr. Daniel Kanchori, political analysts as well as advocates of the High Court. We are talking about the state of the nation, politics and governance and what's happening. One of the issues that we also talked about is this headline in the Standard this morning. KRA news tightens on hustlers, and basically this is what KRA is now doing with the rollout of the e-teams system, where they say if you'd like to claim something as an expense, we need to see clearly that there was actual expense, whether it's big or small company, whether it's a big supplier or small supplier. So a company that, for example, is doing a lot of claiming of, we spent a lot of money on buying food, on lunch, on this and the other, you need to see the e-teams receipt, which means that the supplier has to give you an e-teams receipt. Taxi has to give you an e-teams receipt. You're supplying small business, supplying to a bigger business, you must generate e-teams. This, KRA says, is widening our tax bracket and being able to net more and more people. Prof, I've seen you in several interviews previously when you're talking about the budget. And you say, the challenge that we have is that it's only a very few people who continuously pay tax. And there's many more people who are outside the tax bracket who are netted. Do you think this is a move that will go in a positive direction, or is it ill-timed?
No, it's a good move. It's a good move. I think you need to document transactions in order to be able to appropriately tax. So that is a very good move. But I just want to throw something quickly, because my friend is in Dr. Kanchori. He talked about the fire in a house. But you see what is happening, Kanchori, when you have too much taxation. You don't actually collect more money. Okay? Now, you increase the cost of doing business, like this housing tax is actually increasing the cost of doing business. Now, when you increase the cost of doing business, you in fact shrink the tax base, because assume I have 5 employees. And now, I need to match the 1% deduction, and remember it's on gross, not even on net. What I would do is probably I'll get rid of 3, so I can maintain it too. Now the government loses the pay as you earn and so on, and it loses also on consumption, because the thing. So what I think what the government is doing, I don't know, and they have all these economists. There's something called rearranging furniture when the house is already on fire. You busy rearranging furniture as opposed to concentrating on putting out the fire. So the government is concentrating too much on collecting taxes. Collecting taxes does not amount to expanding the tax base. What amounts to expanding the tax base is having policies that enable people to hire more, expand their business, and therefore hire more Kenyans. Increase production, so you also sell outside the country. So I don't see an increase, a focus on increasing production and people starting new business, easing entry point from business. I don't see that. I see focus on collection. Focus on collection in the short term, it may actually collect money. In the long term, it abandons businesses and those who can leave the space they actually leave, the exit. So I think we need to rethink this idea that you can only collect. You see, it's like we have produced more miracles as opposed to people feeding the cow.
So that it can give birth.
So that it can So we have more. So this is the challenge, and Dr. Kanchori, we have to face.
On this electronic tax invoice management system, I think it's a good way to go, but as the good prof says, the how to do it. You might have a good thing, but how you do it is another thing. So the government needs to, first and foremost, and it's in the constitution, we have what we call public participation, because when you go to a mama mboga or a farmer of maize and introduce and tell them that now you need to be invoicing all your sales. It is important because we are, in Kenya, there are very few people who are paying tax. The bigger majority who are complaining actually don't pay tax. So we need to expand the tax base. And for example, in my company, when I fuel my car, I need to fuel it in a E-Teams compliant fuel supplier, or where I buy. When you come to my office, I'll give you tea or coffee. So I need to buy my tea and coffee from an E-Teams compliant seller. So I think these small mamambogas and farmers need to be educated so that they can understand the benefit of this. Because some things don't attract tax. They are not taxed, but they need to formally comply to this system, because it generally affects my claim. For example, for my expenses, if you give me, I buy from you, Prof, and you are not E-Teams compliant, it means I'm not going to get, it's a loss to me. So I think the government needs to get rid of this military style of making tax look like a punitive thing. People should know that taxation is a worldwide thing, is a good thing. It helps the government run, it helps the government provide the services. The good professor is saying about the DEDICO and all that.
The services.
Right.
Now, do we see the services?
That's another thing. So we should not mix things. We should know that.
Actually, we're not mixing it at all.
You're not mixing it. They go together.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Here we are talking about now the taxation process, but about the transparency, the accountability is another thing, which they go hand in hand. But we should not say because there is corruption, so I'm not going to pay tax.
No,
then
exactly
this and all that.
That's exactly what we need to say. you see, the problem is, I can tell you, look, when Kibaki came, suddenly the public was motivated to pay money to the government in terms of taxes. And the tax almost tripled because people trusted that there was less stealing. There was less, corruption is stealing, but we baptize corruption in order to sound a little bit better. So what the Kenyans need to trust their government, that the money they are giving to the government in form of taxes is being applied to serve them. You see, when I was in the university in the US, I shared a room with a Norwegian who was making cakes, fruit cakes. And then they would keep records so accurately for every sale. So I asked the fellow, what all these records, this is your business. Sure. And you are the only person. Is no, I need to file on my taxes every year. So this person is motivated far away from America to make sure that the Norwegian government can collect the taxes from this person. Because those taxes, when you retire in Norway, you start now earning your full salary without taxes. All the transport is free after at your retirement age. Then government takes care of you. Okay? So you get, when you go to the road, you are not likely to have potholes. If you go to the hospital, there will be a qualified doctor, properly compensated. There will be a properly paid nurse. Okay? There will be no strikes like you're having now. People are dying right now as we speak. Because without these doctors, if you have an accident, how are you going to escape bleeding to death when there is nobody to give you emergency treatment? So the government cares. The government feels my pain. I should also support my government. So this is how citizens are motivated. It's not by training the tax collectors in Imanyani. People will still refuse to pay. Whatever they can avoid, they will avoid.
So I wanted to ask the good doctor here. Is there anything in this country that is not taxed?
Before I answer your question, it's good to be fair. And I say that taxation is good. And it should the common mwananchi should be told that the government runs on taxation. The good professor said that government has no locker where it keeps its money. Where does the government get money? It gets money through this taxation. And to be very specific on the E-Teams, the electronic tax invoicing management system, the government needs to, how it does it needs to pass the message politely, diplomatically, because as a customer, the taxpayer is actually the government customer. And we always say customer is key. How the government is doing it is a challenge, but it's a good thing, because in Kenya there are very few people, a small percentage, almost they say around 8 million Kenyans only pay taxes. The rest of us, the 51 or
actually,
whatever.
That's my point. It's not true.
Don't pay taxes directly.
It's actually not true.
Direct tax.
Direct
tax. Yes, direct tax.
But that's where I was going to. You cannot escape tax.
No, can't.
That's it.
You're going to matatu, you are paying the tax.
Yes.
You buy something, you're paying the tax, and you have to buy. You can't.
And this one now talks about now the direct tax. There is that indirect and the indirect taxation.
But there is something you are saying. Communicate as the government to communicate.
That's why I say they need to get out the military, which is a challenge with
government to communicate. You apply for ID, you get it the following day. Like in during Kibaki time, it had gone back to 3 days. The passport and gone to 3 days.
Believe me, you could get a passport in 1 day.
Yeah, it had gone in that level. So this is how the government communicates that you apply, and those things come from your taxes. You don't pay, they have doubled now everything. So the way you communicate is you have a sick child, you go to hospital, the child is treated. There is a doctor there. There was medicine in hospital. This is how the government communicate. You go to the road, you don't have potholes. The accidents is down. The cost of living in general, because inflation is arrested. There is no inflation. It's properly arrested because there is no privilege. The economy is doing well. This is how government communicates. The government, they can't come to me and tell me, pay tax is a very good idea. But then, when one of the government ministers has a function in Naivasha, they loaned an helicopter. And then the car goes down to pick them there. So the way the government uses my money is the communication to me to willingly pay tax and to persuade my neighbor who is not paying that you need to pay. But if these fellows are in the air every day, there is no control on expenditure, because trust me, this government does not require a budget of 4 trillion. This government can run with the 2-point-something trillion shillings.
I think the stock of a people actually matters, and I think Kenyans are actually quite resilient when it comes to dealing with a number of things.
Absolutely.
And so why I say the stock of a people matters is that you keep throwing things at Kenyans every day. They're going to keep taking it in. I mean, CT says, let it go to 500. We will pay, right? That people will pay. But I think that the requisite action also then needs to be quite significant in some of the things that we're hearing this morning. That I don't think there's a question. I don't think there's any nation, any jurisdiction on earth whereby taxes are not demanded of the people. I think it is a requirement, and I think by and large, that people they know that this needs to happen. But I think the response that you give to people is that certain things work without having people having to ask for them. And that if you cannot see through an action, there's the problem. That when something new comes, that if it's not transparent, we cannot see through it and what it is supposed to do, then that is where people will have an issue. I think for the most part, Kenyans bring something new, they will take it and say, okay, let's, not like your other brothers on the western side of the continent who, but look, they will essentially do it. But we're saying that, can you see through any new requirement that is brought? And if we can't see through it, then that is where the problem is. But if we look at the way things have been going and the things that have come across is, how can you ask Kenyans that with any new requirement that comes to them, that they must take it as it is if they can't see through it? And I think that's how do you make it
when they get
transparent? At some point, Kenyans will hit a wall and they will say, you know what, this is enough. We cannot take this anymore. I think the answer to that would be, if these things are happening, if you have medicine in hospitals, if you have roads that work, if people can take their produce to markets without problems, if capitation for schools is actually paid from January to December in full every year, and that you don't have 54 billion shillings whole over 5 years, that's the answer. That Kenyans will now say, you know what, actually, you want another levy? Bring it. If that's going to make things happen, bring it. They'll even ask you to bring it.
But that isn't happening. What's happening is the situation we're referring to is worsening. So the disparity and the desperation go hand in hand. On the one hand, there are people who don't know that they're going to eat today. On the other hand, there are people living large openly. It's conspicuous. It's in your face. Even if you don't want to see it, you will see it. Now, this is the stuff that insurrection is made of. Because the very things that you want, it doesn't matter what your situation is in life. What you want is the same thing as the other person. Everyone wants their children to go to a good school. Everyone wants their children to have a good meal. Everyone. Now, I am paying taxes. My children go to school and I'm required to pay more money for fees that I'm told is actually supposed to be free. Hospitals, I'm told I'm supposed to get free medication, and yet I am charged. I mean, everything that is supposed to come to me is convoluted. Now, how am I supposed to react? Am I supposed to keep taking it in indefinitely? I'm afraid it doesn't work that way.
No, I think you see, Kenyans look at the budget, for example, the proposal, and you see Parliament is about 369.
Yes.
And they have 300 billion, like 1 billion per person per year. Or you look at the State House budget, and it's closer to the Ministry of Education in budget. Then when you look at all this, you wonder whether these people live with you here or somewhere else. Because also you look at agriculture. Why would you have billions in a ministry already involved? But in this, which is policy. You see, the agriculture ideally is left at the national level, it's policy level.
Yes.
But that means most of that money should be pushed to counties.
Yes.
In order to support agriculture. So the same thing with the health. Most of the money at the health, because now it's policy and coordination, it should have very little. That money shouldn't be in other ones. Counties should be right now sharing $1 trillion, not the 400 billion we are hearing about. Okay, so we are not doing that. The thing is, what is making Kenyans reluctant, or rather pay with a lot of pain, because they have no choice, because the God on earth has spoken. You see, you have God in heaven, and the God on earth is a government. So the God on earth have spoken. You must pay, but you feel robbed. You don't feel that you have supported your government. You feel your government has robbed you violently. Basically, robbery without violence, because they have said so. So we would like a situation where we willingly support our government. Because like Obama said, there is no one who wants his government to fail, because when a government fail, you also fail. So everybody wants the government to succeed, but we want a government that is not robbing us. We want a government that cares. The government that feels our pain. That is what we are looking for.
I think there is the other side of the coin on this. Kenyans need to know that, as a professor is saying, tax is not a voluntary thing that you need to pay. It's a law, because before anything is declared tax, it has gone through the processes of parliament. It is true that the government needs to also to account for whatever shilling is getting from Kenyans, reduce wastage, privilege, and ensure that all the culprits that are engaged in corruption are held accountable. But it's also important, because it's not fair to just assume that a mama mboga, maybe who does not operate a smartphone, can be able to download an eTeams whatever app. So that's what I'm saying. The government needs the KRA or whatever department is responsible to ensure that the people understand what they need to do, because it's important in ensuring that we have good roads, in ensuring that we have good hospitals and all that. So as government brings the law to ensure that people pay taxes, it also needs to be accountable, and that is not something to ask for. It is expected.
It's expected of them.
It's expected
what we
of
say
them.
A government should be accountable. Accountable to whom?
is
accountable to the citizens. Okay. And you remember when
the citizens have a responsibility to hold the government accountable?
Absolutely.
Are the citizens exercising that responsibility?
They're not.
Because if we just whine and say and we have a responsibility, then I think it won't be a good thing as a responsible citizen.
Let me give you an example.
And if you pay what you pay, if I am paying something, then I ought to ensure that I put the government to account to what I'm saying. We need services, we need good roads, we need doctors in our. But if we don't pay, that's why nothing is going to happen.
You know, one way of holding the government to account is having a responsive parliament. A parliament which represents the people. You know, we say parliament is people's representative.
Yep.
But in our situation where now you don't have a parliament, because we don't have a parliament we didn't have a parliament during the Jubilee administration, and we don't have one now. Because you see, there is something I want to ask here.
So all these people who seem to enter that building,
they are just there. They pass everything the executive want. You see their job. You see, we have a three-way government. We establish what is called the checks and balances. So in judiciary and parliament to check one another.
Yeah.
But if the executive get everything they ask, whether it's harming the public or not, then do you have people's representative? So these ATMs you are talking about, is the KRA supplying them for free? I guess the answer probably is no. Meaning somebody has attended to import those.
No, it's an app. It's actually...
Are they free?
Yeah, it's a free app.
So if it's free...
They are no longer used to physical machines.
Okay. Yes, if it's free, then it's okay. But the point here is public hold the government to account through their representatives.
Or directly.
Or directly according to Article 1, but we haven't reached there yet. Article 1 means legislation.
We need to hold the parliament to account because it's the one that comes up with the budget. It's the one that passes taxation laws.
Exactly.
It's the one that then should hold the others accountable. But gentlemen, our time is up. Thank you very much for joining us.
Maybe just to assist the good professor, we actually have a parliament. Only that maybe they are not up to the task, but we actually have a parliament.
He's just defined absence.
Parliament of monkeys.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Daktari. Dr. Daniel Kanchori is a political analyst and an advocate, and Professor Gitile Naitule is a governance analyst. They've been our guests this morning. Keep it here for more conversations, 8 a.m.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. The Ministry of Health has scheduled a meeting with the Doctors' Union in an effort to unlock the strike stalemate. Health CS Susan Nahumicha wrote to the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union. She invited the medics for a consultative forum as the strike enters the fifth day today. This event comes as political and religious leaders have called on the government to address doctors' grievances. Led by Kakamega Catholic Bishop Joseph Ombanyi, he said patients are suffering due to lack of medical services.
Sekta ya afya inaathirika vibaya, na ikiwa kuna nchi yoyote ambayo haiwezi kutatua matatizo ya kiafya, hilo taifa linakuwa taifa gonjwa. We have always said it's important that the government engages in dialogue, all these people, and they come to a conclusion so that we don't have a strike prolonged. I remember there was a year when there was a strike for 100 days here in Kenya. So that means that still the problem has not been solved. So ushuru umeongezwa, gharama ya maisha imeongezeka, bei ya bidhaa imeongezeka, lakini shule hazipati pesa. Wataishi vipi?
Elsewhere, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and his ally Machakos Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi have blamed the national government for ignoring the health sector across counties.
But the problem also starts with the national government. Wakati tulikuwa tuna campaign bwana MCAs wetu ambao mko hapa, Sisi tulikuwa tunasema Kenya Kwanza ikishida itaongeza pesa za ungatuzi up to almost 40%. Vile vile hawa wengine wa Azimio walikuwa wanasema hivyo. What has happened now we are in the office? Lakini pesa imebaki Nairobi. In institutions tuko nazo huko. Ukiangalia wizara ya afya pesa yote iko kule juu. Hapa hakuna kitu. Now what are we going to do? It is good we be honest.
He has also called on President William Ruto to replace Nakhumicha, who's failed to manage the sector.
I think I agree. It is high time President of the Republic of Kenya, wakati umefika aingilia haya maneno ya afya. Otherwise, the state of health in this country is going to deteriorate, is going to collapse. And that is not what we want. We do not want Kenyans to be exploited in private healthcare facilities. We have public health cares in this country. So, rais wetu tafadhali, wakati umepika, wewe mwenyewe ni wewe, watu walikuchagua. Si hawa watu wengine wanasimamia afya ambao hawakai kama wanaelewa jinsi wa Kenya wanahangaika. I think it is not enough for Minister for Health to resign. She can be taken to other lighter duties.
President William Ruto will today morning assent to the Affordable Housing Bill to pave the way for the return of housing levy deductions. Speaking in Transmara, Ruto affirmed yet again that he'll be signing into law the bill that was passed by both chambers of Parliament in concurrence. Both the Senate and the National Assembly passed the bill last week with amendments introduced in the bill, including bringing county governments to the fold.
Kesho mimi naenda kuweka sahihi sheria ya housing, kwa sababu hiyo housing tayari kuna vijana 1,130 wanafanya kazi kwa program ya housing.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has asked drivers of school buses to be extra vigilant and cautious on the road to avert fatal accidents, claiming the lives of young Kenyans. Speaking when he concluded with the condoled with the students and teachers of Kapsabet High School following the death of two colleagues in a tragic road accident on Saturday, the Deputy President said it was sad to lose precious lives at a young age. He said the young people are the future of the country and must be taken care of to safeguard the nation's posterity. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
The little bit of traffic that's coming in from Langata is spilling over towards the Raila Odinga Way. Some of that will go all the way through towards Ngong Road. Speaking of which, there's traffic coming in from Naivasha Road, touching on Ngong Road, heading out towards the CBD. And then onto Huru Highway, quite a lot of it coming through. Let's take a look at State House Road. There was traffic coming and will come out towards the Arboretum area and then out towards Chiromo. Heavy traffic there. Ring Road Westlands coming in from Waiaki Way as well. Now is when we see the spillover of traffic from James Gishiro going over through towards Red Hill Link Road. And there's heavy traffic coming in from Thigiri Ridge this morning, touching in from Peponi, Kitisuru, out through towards Limuru Road. So all of that doing the rounds this morning, still not letting up on the Thika Superhighway this morning. Heavy traffic coming in all the way from Kasarani. And then as you come through towards Garden City, we're also looking at heavy traffic on Kiambu Road this morning, heavier than usual, way past Pipeline Estate. So we're keeping an eye on this morning. Let us know what's going on where you are. It's a few minutes after 8 o'clock. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
7 minutes after 8. How are you doing? Welcome to the third hour of the Situation Room. Happy Monday, the 18th day of March 2024. March is gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is it.
Yep.
This week, next week, whoop,
Kusha.
move. Yeah. Easter come, Easter go, April. Huh? Hey.
Then before you know it, we're in June.
Yeah.
And we're looking towards the end of the year.
Yeah, and we're closing the year.
Yep.
And times are just coming, going, gone.
Yep. And the thing is that the problems that we have will not go away with the months.
Unfortunately.
Imagine.
Wouldn't it be great if they all went as quickly as the months were going?
They won't.
February comes, problems, February go. March comes, March, February, March,
by the way,
problems
it doesn't
go.
just go. The problems of March catch up with the problems of February.
Yeah. They're just
problems
piling up.
of April catch up with the problems of March.
They're piling up.
And they're piling. And they're piling.
But opportunities come for those that, have their eyes wide open. For example, if you see Serenity Springs in Lanet, in Nakuru County, my friend, go there and invest. 1.499 million shillings is what they're asking for. So what is Serenity Springs, Ndu?
Tell me. I want you to tell me.
You know Nakuru?
I know Nakuru.
There's a place called Lanet as you get into Nakuru. Okay? Lanet is a beautiful place as you get into Nakuru.
It's pass a lovely it on the place. Highway?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It's along the highway. And now, Lanet is famously known because this is where there's a military barracks there.
Ah, voilà.
This is where the cadets are trained. Those people who become commissioned officers in the military.
Yes.
They go there. Okay? They're trained there for months. You start from there as a second lieutenant going all the way. So all the generals that you see today,
yes, they passed through Lanet.
They started in Lanet.
Okay.
It's a beautiful, beautiful part of Nakuru County. It's beautiful. Now, because of the many years of development, Lanet has close proximity to Nakuru city center. You know, Nakuru is a city.
Yes,
so Nakuru city center, close proximity to the modern amenities. If you're thinking about schools, international schools and good schools, if you're thinking about hospitals, you'll find them there. If you're thinking about the airport, the Nakuru airport is just about 3 kilometers from where we're talking about Serenity Springs in Lanet. If you're thinking about accessibility, there's a tarmac road that takes you to Olkalau and takes you to Nakuru city.
Oh, okay.
That brings you to Nairobi as well. I can take you to Njoro. I can even take you to Kakamega if you want to go to Kakamega. Okay. So it's a very central place. If you went and invested in Lanet, nice, good suburban neighborhood. Now, our friends at Username Properties have decided, let's buy one huge piece of land. Let us do the servicing for it, which is put a perimeter wall, put a perimeter fence, put a proper gate, put Maram roads inside, pool electricity is available, sink a borehole so that water is available. Also reticulate from the nearby water sources. Water is available. All we're asking for now is for people to come, invest, start building a community, live together.
And there are no hidden charges.
Nothing.
Once that money is paid, that's it.
All you need to do is buy plots.
That's it.
An eighth of an acre.
Yes, nothing like, we forgot. Oh, perhaps you should add.
You can buy two adjacent to one another.
And make it a quarter.
Yeah.
Voila. And you can own a piece of this piece of heaven.
Yep. 1.499 million shillings. They say, okay, put up down payment of 10%. That's what? 149,000, right?
Yes.
And then thereafter, you pay within 30 days. Okay. If you think, no, I want to have a longer repayment period, they say, come, let's talk. Hatuwezi elewa kukosana. Mambo ni kuelewana hii Kenya. We can talk about a 3-month repayment plan, 6 months, 12 months, up to 12 months repayment. And they say, easy peasy. Come, let's talk.
Okay.
Call them today on 0725 000 222. That's 0725 000 222. Or you can SMS the word plot to 20321. That's plot to 20321. Our next guest is in the studio. He's the governor of Kakamega County, FCPA Fernandez Barasa. Good morning, Your Excellency.
Good morning to you.
Welcome to the hot seat of Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you here again.
Yes.
How are you doing?
Keeping well.
How is Kakamega?
Kakamega, we're doing fine.
Yeah.
Good weather. Everything is set for the investment conference.
Very good. We'll be talking about devolution and what's happening in Kakamega shortly. Welcoming you to the conversation. CT has the day's proverb.
Yes, our proverbs for the whole of this week come from the Republic of Burundi.
Okay.
Now, I have a question that I asked the previous guest, so I'm going to ask you the same question. The capital of Burundi. Do you know what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Bujumbura.
If it was out of 100, you've got 50%. Yes.
That's a good one.
It is true. The economic capital is Bujumbura, but the administrative capital is called Gitega.
Okay.
Very many African nations, oddly enough, very many African nations have that duality. Let's just go to Tanzania, which is next to it. Most people think that the capital is what?
Dar es Salaam.
It is not. That's the economic capital.
Arusha.
Dodoma.
Precisely.
Dodoma.
See, now you see, let's go to Nigeria. What is the economic capital?
Lagos.
Yes. And what is the administrative capital?
Abuja.
Yes. Many African countries have the same. So we were saying, perhaps Kenya also ought to have Nairobi as an economic capital. And where then should we take our administrative capital, if you were to suggest?
Kakamega.
With no bias whatsoever.
Okay. His Excellency didn't even miss a beat. No sooner had I asked the question, I had not even taken a deep breath. Kakamega. So,
in fact, as soon as you started saying Gitega, Dodoma, he was like,
Kakamega.
Rural County.
Yes.
The proverb city?
The proverb is, you cannot hide the smoke from the hut you set on fire.
You cannot hide
the smoke
from the hut you set on fire. Governor, what's your interpretation of this proverb?
You cannot stop an idea whose time has come. And for me, you cannot stop an idea of Kakamega having an investment conference. And when the time is right. And this is the time.
Okay.
What is this Kakamega Investment Conference? So I'm seeing first Kakamega International Investment Conference.
This is an inaugural international investment conference. And for Kakamega people, it's a strategic investment opportunity to showcase what we have for potential investors. There's a lot of economic potential in Kakamega. There's so much that has not been exploited. And in my own wisdom and my team, we thought it's important that we tell the world the areas and opportunities available for investments. And that is why we have the Kakamega International Investment Conference. Yeah.
It's interesting because then devolution I'm just jumping right into it. Devolution presents an opportunity then for different parts of the country to do exactly this. So then one would ask for an investment conference, looking at, the largesse of it, what are you asking the world essentially to come and invest in Kakamega in?
Now, what we are telling the world is to be aware of our investment opportunities. Number one, there's too much potential in agriculture. Kakamega is an agricultural county. In fact, 52% of our county gross product comes from agriculture. And agriculture, there are opportunities in various value chains. We have the agribusiness, which is having a lot of potential. We have dairy value chains. We have established milk processing plants. So we need to get investors to operationalize the same. When you go to area of livestock value chains, we have opportunities for investors because Kakamega, we have around 12 smart farms, which we're trying to make them available to showcase what are the value chains you can get, not just from doing dairy, but also the associated benefits. We have opportunities in water, environment, and of course, the latest conversation being climate action. Kakamega boasts itself to have the only existing rainforest, tropical rainforest in East Africa. That is a Kakamega forest. This forest, we have opportunities for the environmental enthusiasts, at least to own part of the forest. Not really owning per se, but to adopt course, owning is another conversation. Adopting a forest means you could get, let's say, 10 acres to plant, to grow trees. We have opportunities of doing forest conservation. At the moment, we are doing fencing with the forest. We have brought on board quite a number of environmental enthusiasts who are supporting us to fence the forest. It offers opportunities for scientific research. You can imagine we have 450 bird species in Kakamega Forest. We have over 200 snakes.
You have 200
samples.
snakes?
Yeah. Species, both. Yeah, so the main opportunities. Of course, then we have the famous route called Mukombera is very famous there. Yeah, I'm sure that there is a conversation which people will be looking forward to go and explore. And that's why tomorrow, being the inaugural day, we'll be doing a pre-conference by just touring the forest. We have opportunities in solid waste management, where we are now going organic farming. And that is also one of the environmental responses, because we have realized synthetic fertilizer is not very good to the farmer. So we are encouraging investors to come and invest in solid waste management. Sewerage management also, we have opportunities. We have actually 5 municipalities in Kakamega. Administratively, we are very big. We have 60 wards. We have 400 community areas. We have 13 sub-counties. So that's why when you told me about the administrative capital, I didn't hesitate, because Kakamega comes second to Nairobi in terms of our population and also the size of the county.
How would you say Kakamega has cleaned up house? Because this is interesting. Essentially inviting somebody else and many other people to come into the county and, spruce it up. Essentially, that's what we are saying.
Absolutely.
But how has Kakamega cleaned up house? Let's say the last 10 to 12 years since the time of devolution, before things now came to the surface at the county level. What would you say would be the profile of development in the county? So much so that we can now say, you know what? We've set the ground. What we need now to raise the profile is external investors. So essentially, if you were to give a scorecard of how devolution has enabled the development of an agenda of Kakamega County to, garner some points, how has it fared? And what would you say are some things that still need some work?
First and foremost, I want to agree with you that devolution has really transformed Kakamega, of course, to a large extent in the area of infrastructure. We've done very well on having at least bitumen roads and these all weather roads. So infrastructure is good, although not very good, because we still have gaps and opportunities for growth. We've done very well in terms of establishing the infrastructure, especially in agriculture. I've talked about the smart farms. Kakamega is the only county in the Lake Region Economic Bloc that has a fish factory. You'll be surprised it's not in Kisumu or Nairobi. Fish factory actually is in Kakamega.
Why would you say it is surprising?
Because somebody will be like, where is the lake? How come there's no lake in Kakamega?
That's the point. We had a fish, we had a fish factory in Thika. Again, you ask the question about the lake.
There's a lake in
Thika. So the question would be, should we say investments favors a prepared mind?
Absolutely.
Because the proximity of Kakamega to the lake region is right there. If the lake region did not see the need and Kakamega did, good.
Very well. So when you go to the area of social development, we are setting up, it will be the second largest football stadium. We have a cathedral of football in Kakamega called Buhungu International Stadium. 40,000. I can see my brother laughing when I talked about cathedral.
No, I'm smiling because He is not wrong. It's a place where football is like a religion.
Very well.
Yes.
I think we are together on that one.
Yes.
So Bukhungu International Stadium is there. We've so far done almost 50%. We are partnering with the national government to make sure that we actually have it ready for CHAN 2024 and AFCON 2027. So alongside that, of course, you have opportunities now for building other infrastructure, like 5-star, 4-star hotels, which land is not a problem. We'll provide land. We have opportunities of coming up with hostels. We have Masinde Muliro University that has 21,000 students. We have some national polytechnics there, Galagala, 14,000 students. So opportunities for complementing the affordable housing program are there. So in terms of social, so at least we have the infrastructure. When it comes to health, we have, again, it's going to be the biggest health facility once completed, called Kakamega Level 6 Referral Hospital, which is a 750 bed capacity, bigger than KNH for information. Once it is completed, then it will be the biggest. So the opportunity we have is operationalization and equipping of that facility, telemedicine, opportunities in setting up cancer centers, because cancer is the real thing now. So on the side of medicine and health, those are the opportunities. But the good thing is, with the devolution, we have the infrastructure. At least we have started, and we are walking, we're not crawling. So we just need someone to lift us up, and we'll be...
And run with it.
Absolutely.
What we are seeing a lot of increasingly is these investment conferences in counties, right? So counties saying we want to showcase the opportunities that are there for investors to come into our county, and we shall facilitate you in getting the ball rolling. But what kind of facilitation are you promising? If an investor attends this conference, for example, in Kakamega, and they see opportunity in agriculture, they see opportunity in waste management, they see an opportunity in social amenities, like you said, in healthcare, in real estate, right? What is it that the county government is promising to do? Because you see, at national level, we have Can Invest. As you say, come in, we shall facilitate you as an investor to come into the country and to invest. If it's about licensure, if it's about all those, we shall help you in setting off your business. What is Kakamega, for example, promising an investor?
First, I want to just repeat the theme of the investments. We are actually looking at positioning counties as the new frontiers of investment and development, which resonates very well with the famous bottom-up term. I don't want to go in many details about bottom-up. What Kakamega will be doing, number one, is to provide land, because land is crucial for any investor to come and set up a factory. What the employer, in this case the county, will do is to make sure that land is available. That's number one. We'll make sure that the infrastructure, which I had already alluded earlier, at least for accessibility, is available. And then more importantly, the labor, which will be a win-win situation, because we believe that when these investment opportunities are harnessed, then labor will not be a problem. And the market, of course, is crucial. With our county aggregation and industrial parks, that provides an opportunity for investors to aggregate their products and then have them exported. So we are looking at both local and international investors. Yeah.
Okay. You see, all those things can be provided by any county, right? Land, infrastructure, some roadworks here and there, labor is available everywhere, market. What is it that what are the barriers for trade? I'm sure you've looked and seen these are the barriers for trade in Kakamega and in the lake region and in the country. What are those barriers in terms of somebody coming in and starting from scratch? I want to register a business. I want to start a business. I want to start operationalizing my business? What are the key barriers and the key pain points?
What we've done in Kakamega is to make sure that there is ease of doing business by amalgamating all these licenses, trade licenses, into a single business license. That makes it easier for an investor not to be asked 10 or 20 licenses, and yet he has various investment opportunities. So amalgamation of those trade licenses into a single business license is one of the strategies of just making it easy. And then number two, of course, some of the approvals required may be national, and I'm sure the national government will do its bit, especially if it's environment. We need the National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, to do the approvals. And of course, in terms of administrative support, as I said, we have very good and vast administrative support with 12 sub-counties, sub-county coordinators, 60 ward coordinators, 400 community area administrators. So in terms of administrative support, we have it. Yeah, so I believe the amalgamation of the single business permits make it easy to get approvals for any environmental issues, and also proper infrastructure, both administrative and social infrastructure. This is what Kakamega County is putting in place.
Governor, does Kakamega have something akin to Can Invest? A one-stop shop, a one agency established in Kakamega through statute of Kakamega that says if you're a business person, a business entity, come in here and we will facilitate. We'll be like the liaison office. You require permits from NEMA, we will help you walk the journey with NEMA. You require permits from this other entity, we'll help you get the permits from the national entities. If it's a local offices, we'll support you and facilitate you through that. Because I'm sure you know, many business people will complain about, you'll tell us it's ease of doing business, and then you leave us to the sharks. When you're going out there, by the time you come back, all your clothes are tattered and you don't have the permit that you are seeking. 6 months down the road.
In fact, I want to tell you here that we foresaw that. And we have an agency wholly owned by the county called Kakamega County Investment Development Agency, KCIDA. This is the agency that has a CEO, it has board members, it has staff. And the work is dedicated on investments. So they pitch investments. When we sign MOUs, for example, starting from tomorrow or thereabout, this is the agency that now will follow through. So we have a one-stop shop investment agency in Kakamega, which is fully operational with a CEO, a secretariat, board members. So we are good to go. Yeah.
What's the extent of their mandate?
Of course, the extent of their mandate, number one, is to showcase our investment opportunities. And that's why largely on this investment conference, they have taken the lead. Number two is to make sure that whatever it's signed off is followed through, mostly with regard to employers' obligations. I'll give you an example. Last year we had the first organic fertilizer in Kakamega, and it's actually the first in the Lake Region Economic Block that was followed through by our investment agency. We signed off with a company from the US. And as we speak now, the work is in progress because we have a unit that is following through on all the deliverables under the leadership of our CEO. So with that agency, then we don't have any issue with regard to lack of follow-ups. Yeah.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll continue the conversation shortly. FCPA Fernandez Barasa is the governor of Kakamega County. He's here. We are talking about devolution and making counties now the new frontier for investment in this country. Kakamega is organizing the first International Investment Conference from tomorrow the 19th to the 22nd of March this year in Kakamega, of course. And they're saying, investors, everybody come and see the opportunities that are abound in this county. We are asking, so I come and see. then what? Those are the questions we are asking on behalf of the investors. 28 minutes to 9. The conversation with the governor continues shortly.
All right, so looking at cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning, it is 19 degrees. We'll see highs of 28, 18 and sunny in Nakuru, and 18 and sunny in Nyeri, 17 and sunny conditions in Eldoret, going to highs of 29. Mombasa is sunny at 29. We'll see highs of 33, while in Malindi it's 30 and sunny with highs of 33. 23 and sunny conditions in Kisumu, going to highs of 33, while Kakamega is at 22, sunny going to highs of 34. Into Kampala, sunny at 24 with highs of 31, and we'll see highs of 31 in a mostly sunny Dar es Salaam. At 17, Johannesburg is sunny with highs of 28, and Mogadishu at 30 is sunny going to highs of 33. It's 18 and sunny in Addis Ababa. We'll see highs of 27. It's clear in Lagos at 27 with highs of 34, while in Kinshasa, mostly cloudy at 26, going to highs of 33. Traffic continues on the Thika Superhighway, and the situation on Kiambu Road getting a little bit better. I think we're seeing a reduction of that heavy traffic, all red all the way through towards Muthaiga Square, and then trying to get into the city this morning. Limuru Road earlier was an absolute mess. We're looking at all the traffic coming in from Thigiri Ridge combined with what's coming in from Kitisuru. Peponi Road then touching on the other side. Quite some traffic this morning, guys. So just keeping an eye on that. At least for now. Waiaki is busy. James Gishoro, not as busy as it was before, but I think the Monday morning movement is what got us all in a fix. Let's see what happens as we get closer to the end of traffic hour. But for now, I think we can manage. In case you can't, how about you spread some word and let's know what's free that you can use. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
"25 minutes to 9. Kakamega is one big county. It has 13 sub-counties, 60 wards, 5 municipalities, 300 community areas. 400 community areas, I beg your pardon. And it has one governor, Fernandez Barasa, FCPA, and he's in the studio. He is talking about the investment conference that begins tomorrow, the 19th, and ends on the 22nd of March, 2024 in Kakamega County City.
What's the population of Kakamega County?
2.5 million people.
Okay. Now, you have an investment company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
What's its mandate? I know the question was asked. I'm asking it again.
Mm-hmm.
What's its mandate? And within this mandate, what does it actually do in terms of spurring businesses and ensuring that the revenues that are accumulated from these businesses come into the county? There's a reason why I ask again. If you have an investment organization within the county and you have 2.5 million people, business opportunities spread among 2.5 million people is sizable. If I use this as your pilot scheme, the 2.5 million people, and then we look at Kenya, we look at East African Community, and then we look at the 1.3 billion people in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Okay?
Yeah.
Now let's go back. Kakamega investment.
Yeah.
Mandate. scope?
Our investment agency, the mandate is to harness all the investment opportunities and exploit them to maximum potential. And one of the things which, of course, it is charged with is to make sure that we identify the opportunities available in all sectors. Tourism, we have not even talked about it because it's one of the critical areas. Once the investment opportunities have been identified, it is the work of the investment agency to market those opportunities to both the local, 2.5 will start from home before you go to the region, 20 million for the Lake Region Economic Bloc, and then of course 50 plus million Kenya and abroad using the KIPES. So yes, we start from local. If it's fish factory, you start by making sure that the locals are eating fish. So the work of the investment agency, number one is to identify, exploit, and make sure that we have the investments being rolled out. From the county, we have a few that we are doing, like I told you about the fish factory, which we have set up using our equitable share. We have so many other opportunities which have been identified, but because of competing initiatives on the cash flows, that is why it now becomes necessary to invite other people to partner with us so that we can exploit them to full potential. Yeah.
What's the population of the diaspora, the Kakamegan diaspora?
I don't have that figure, but I can assure you, Kakamega, when you go to every county, you'll find, in fact, they're even more in Kiambu. And then my brothers.
Kiambu is a sub-county.
So they're 14.
You go to Migori, you'll find Mlembe Nation is there in a big way, right? So, yeah, diaspora, we have many.
You see, why I ask the question is because if we look at the remittances that we get in this country, they form our largest foreign exchange earning in the country. Now, I'm looking at those who are outside the country.
Very well.
And those who come from that region. Would they not be the people who perhaps would be sufficiently interested in investing in their home country?
In fact, one of the things I want to tell you is we have the Mlembe Nation Association in Washington. Those guys are willing and ready to come and invest. They are having some projects which they've been doing in housing. And some of them, of course, will be inviting them to come because they were like, wait a minute, we cannot be investing in Kisumu and Kakamega, we are not investing because we have the capital, right? So tell us, give us land, we'll put up hotels. Give us land, we'll do hostels. So these are fellows who are ready to put in 2 to 3 billion Kenya shillings in hospitality industry, the diaspora. And the good thing here is we already have an association of Kakamega diasporians who are ready and willing, for not just Kakamega, but the Mlembe Nation, who are ready and willing to come and invest home. Yeah.
What legal framework are you putting in place to ensure that you're sufficiently able to support this? So, for example, when you set aside land that is public land, and then you invite an investor to come and invest in this land, what is the legal framework for it? Is it that you're leasing the land on a long-term lease to these investors? Are they owning the land going forward? Is there any sufficient legislation that supports this so that, it doesn't mean that after 10 years of Fernandez Barasa as governor of Kakamega, the next governor comes in and says, there was no law. As far as we are concerned, this is public land. Demolish whatever facility this is.
For your information, the land that exists in Kakamega, unless it is private land, any land that we got from the defunct local authorities belongs to the county. That's number one. Number two, we are progressively having a land bank because we know one of the key things which an investor will be interested in is where do I set up my factory. So with this land bank, it becomes easy for us to provide that as our contribution, and we are looking at a partnership, which of course will be through at least 30 or 40 years, depending on the return on investments. So that's the legal framework I'm looking at. Yeah.
And I think that, we hear it all the time that, PPPs, and this is essentially what some of these things are, that we're asking, external partners to come in and, join hands. What would be the implementation framework for a lot of these things? Because unfortunately, implementation is the place where great ideas at government level go to die. Unfortunately, and so the potential then, unfortunately, then disappears, and the things that you see now, whereby you can look at a blueprint and you can say, look, this is what Kakamega will look like if we have investment that comes in this area. You've talked about it, agriculture, you've talked about the environment, you've talked about climate and so many other things, water. And we could have folks who are very interested and actually want to come and either put their money, expertise, other resources behind it. But then somehow with implementation, as we've seen in the past, because this is not a foreign thing, as we've seen in the past, implementation now becomes the bane of a lot of these projects. And then one would hope that at this place that you see, look, this is something that could actually lift the profile of this county significantly and do something for the livelihoods of the people of the 2.5. So how would you then be able to guarantee that you can see from far what the dangers or the challenges would be? And you say that we are focused and we are going to make sure that these things are actually done.
Now, one of the strategies which I've already talked about is to foresee a need for land. So is to have a land bank. Every year we have put in the budget that we need to have a minimum of 50 acres. Of course, last year because of the county aggregation and industrial park, the land bank was 100 acres, which was the minimum required. Number two, for purposes of making sure, of course, the implementation framework will differ from one company to another. One organization will want a PPP. Another organization will want a different model. This is an investor, for example, like the organic fertilizer. It's not a PPP per se. They're coming in. We have given them land of 20 acres. Because what I'm looking at by having these opportunities, number one is to increase economic growth, to provide employment. And then these factories, they'll produce organic fertilizer, which is an environmental response to synthetic fertilizer. This fertilizer will be sold to our farmers at subsidized prices. So when you look at the ripple effect of that investment being there, is bigger than just providing land. So it becomes a win-win situation.
So what kind of deal have you signed with that company, for example? If it's not a PPP, what is it?
It's actually a commercial enterprise. Because when you look at the PPP framework, it is quite complicated.
Laborious.
I can tell you the approvals you will need to get from the PPP unit. You can take 10 years. After your term, you are still chasing for approvals. So the thing is, to anticipate mitigating that is to have, first of all, a memorandum of understanding with very clear obligations and how you are going to partner. And one of the biggest things, for example, when you have a leasehold, land that is provided on a lease period, that becomes a commercial engagement, which to a large extent would now ease the challenges of getting PPP approvals. Because yes, we have the legislation. I've seen the challenges of operationalization of the legal framework of the PPPs, especially in agriculture.
Okay. So going into that one, so PPP is a laborious route to take. And people want quick wins, right? But at the same time, people want to be shielded from politics. Where somebody comes and invests and they put in billions of shillings, and then they feel that a change in regime changes their fortunes in what they're doing. 10 years is a very short time for a long-term investor. This is a time when they've just, finished setting up their processes and they're starting to trade. And then change in government, change in regime, and things change. What is it that they are demanding, that they want as their, minimum guarantees going forward? What is it that the investors are demanding and saying, I want to have a conversation. I can see the opportunities, but I want assurances to this extent. What from your previous conversations have you seen?
For example, our fish factory, which we set up in Kakamega. What our investor wanted was to be given land on lease. Then everything else, they come in to provide the equipment, right? They come in to do the operationalization. And then we also have some NGOs who are very interested in supporting through conditional grants some of those investments. So like the fish factory, we're getting a lot of support from IFAD. It's an international food administration department, which is very enthusiastic through conditional grants just to support issues around nutrition and aquaculture. So with these conditional grants, what now the investor will do is to come and set up the factory. You have the money, you have provided the land, so it becomes a win-win situation. Other investors will only want land because it varies from one company to another. There is one that is doing dairy factory. What you have done is provide land, and using our equitable share, we are now the ones financing that. But the equipping, because it may be expensive, will now want to have a partnership on how the equipping of that dairy factory will be like. So it is going to be done on case by case basis.
Does Kakamega have special economic zones or export processing zones? Areas where you can say, because of the national SEZ, EPZ framework, an investor coming in here will get some tax incentives and so on and so forth?
We don't have special economic zones per se, but we have industrial parks. And in those industrial parks, they're in 3 regions. And what largely we have done is to set up some sizable piece of land, which provides now the basis or the bait for telling investors, look, if you want to invest in a tea factory in this region, you can get this land, because what is more crucial is the land. When you go, let's say, to the northern part of Kakamega, specifically a place called Likuyani, we have set up a counter aggregation and industrial park, 100 acres. It will even serve Uasin Gishu and Trans Nzoia. When you come to the southern region, where we have the organic fertilizer, we have an industrial park. Land 50 acres. So far, you're only using 20 acres. So we still have more available. So, but I think, again, you need maybe to partner with the national government so that we see how those can now be gazetted as special economic zones so that investors can get tax incentives.
Does Kakamega County have a Chamber of Commerce?
Yes. We have the Kakamega chapter, Chamber of Commerce. And we are working very closely with that Chamber of Commerce. By the chair is an FCPA like me.
So this looks great, in terms of, the woodwork. Now, when you fill in, and for me, I'll always ask that for the people of the county, when we talk about livelihoods of people, what would change specifically? What would improve for the people of the county, and what time period are we looking at? What would we be able to look at and say, because of these investments that we've seen in the county over the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, even, after, CPA Fernandez Braza is gone from the county leadership, that we can say, this is what has changed. This is what the people of Kakamega have. This is how their livelihoods have improved. as a result of this? Not just the fish farm there, but then what does that translate to? Not just somebody coming in and talking about the environment with the Kakamega forest, but what does that translate to? You know, when we talk about water improvement, what does that translate to for man, woman, child, young person? What does it actually mean?
Yeah, very well. On matters environment, by protecting the water catchment areas, that's a big thing. It's a big investment opportunity. These afforestation programs and restoration programs for the forest, you'll be assured of rainfall. Kakamega is known to be a rain-fed agricultural county, which of course will now translate to issues of food security, because food security is crucial. You want to have a county that is food secure. Number two, in terms of the investments, once we have all these investment opportunities actualized, we are going to address the issue of unemployment, which is one of the biggest challenges that we have. We are going to make sure that at least people have money in their pocket. So the costs of living to a large extent will be managed, because at least people have a place they can go and get their money. This will improve the living standards, because people can afford to take their kids to school. So in the long run, the social pressure on tokenism from the county will reduce. So those are the things I'm looking at. Yeah. We'll not have a county of beggars. That is, when you go for a meeting, guys are looking for money from you.
The picture of success is prosperity.
Absolutely.
Across Kakamega County.
Yeah.
Do you foresee a situation where you could actually grow the revenue of Kakamega County to the point where it either equals or it surpasses whatever it is that is your share from the national government?
The answer is no, because when you look at the revenue share that we get from the national government, there is a formula. And at the moment, whatever that the PFM Act has provided for, being the areas you can collect revenue, is entertainment and property only. You cannot collect PAYE, you cannot collect VAT, you cannot collect excise duty. So all those big tax centers, they're still domiciled by law in the national government. But what we are doing in our small way is to harness and exploit the potential around what is provided for in the PFM Act, entertainment tax and property tax, so that we collect as much as possible without, of course, increasing the cost of living. Because one thing that is more important here is to make sure that whatever you can collect within the legal framework, as of now, is quite limited. You can imagine only property tax and entertainment. Everything else is at national government, so you cannot compete with the national government on that. And the framers of the constitution, I think that they were very clear. They wanted to have one nation and 48 governments. So for us, we are like sub-nations.
Yeah.
So the tax regime that we have, as per the Income Tax Act, the VAT Act, and all other tax legislation, are pro-national government. And the framers of the constitution were very clear that when the revenue is collected nationally by the national treasury, it is now distributed to the national government, to counties, and to the special programs, etc.
Equitably.
Equitably, very well.
Okay, now this...
And timely.
Operative word timely. It's supposed to be a percentage of our GDP, is it not?
No, there is a formula.
Yes, as a layman, I have to ask in terms that I understand.
Yes.
So now, explain, what percentage then is it that all the counties get of the national cake? Now, after the formula has been applied?
After the formula is applied, the Constitution provides that counties will get 15%.
Not less than.
A minimum of 15% of the revenue raised nationally of the last audited and approved. Boss. Eh?
Right.
So what they tell you, if there's a delay in the audited accounts and approval, no, you don't get nothing. You get
the last
audited. Like for the moment, we are talking about 2020, 2021 financial years audits. So it's not really current per se.
You see, the reason why I ask is I'm looking at a county economy growing.
Yeah.
It means the national government share of whatever is produced in the county governments will grow.
Yes.
That's what I'm seeing. So theoretically, if this is what happens, then what the county then gets back in terms of its share
should be more.
Absolutely.
Which then means that the county, again, theoretically, ought to be able to do more over time. But as things stand, doesn't seem to be a possibility.
Yeah. Actually, we are still in partial implementation of the Constitution 2010 because as per the fourth schedule, we have some functions which are yet to be devolved. I think that's the conversation that we are having with the national government, IGRTC. Yeah. And as per the costing, you realize it was around 275 billion shillings of those
that is sitting up there.
Functions, which are still at national government.
Governor, send an invitation to everybody who you'd like to see in Kakamega from tomorrow.
Very well. Yeah, I want to take this opportunity to invite our local and regional international investors to our inaugural Kakamega International Investment Conference, which commences tomorrow on the 19th of March up to 22nd of March, which will be a Friday. This will be at our Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology. The theme of the investment conference is opening up counties as the new frontiers of investment and development. Karibuni Kakamega, the green jewel, 037. Karibuni Ingo. Thank you.
Karibu. Governor 037 is here. Kakamega is also a golden county, so even gold diggers are welcome. Between now on Friday.
I believe you just said that, but okay.
Between now on Friday.
Yeah.
All gold diggers.
The gold guys.
And FCPA Fernandez Barasa, Governor of Kakamega County, inviting you to the first Kakamega International Investment Conference from tomorrow until Friday the 22nd. Keep it here for more conversations. Keep it here. Thank you very much. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.
Good morning. This is the news wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has ordered a crackdown on organisers and financiers of the heckling that was witnessed in Kericho and Bomet counties during President William Ruto's visit in the Rift over the weekend. The CS announced that the security team is also tasked to rein in on incidents of disorderly conduct in political meetings, conclude investigations and apprehend the organisers, financiers and perpetrators of hooliganism in the county, regardless of their political or social standing. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said he would summon leaders from the Rift Valley for an explanation of why there are reported political unease in the region.
I'm asking the people, the Kalenjin nation, tafadhali na muomba kwa heshima kubwa nikinyenyekea, tumuoneshe heshima rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, na ndio ataheshimika kwengine. Lakini hiyo aibu niliona jana na juzi. I am very concerned. Now viongozi wa college nitawaita. Niwaite? Yes, I'll call them. Nitawaita. Now if they don't listen to me, nitakuja kuwashitaki kwenu. How do we expect the president to be respected by the rest of Kenya, by the rest of Africa, by the world, when tunakuja kutoana nguo mbele ya rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya.
Despite President William Ruto promising that farmers will get subsidized fertilizer at the right time, people living with disabilities and widows in Bungoma County say efforts to get fertilizer from NCPB depots have been futile. Led by Bishop Alex Masika, they say that there's an overwhelming number of people waiting in line to receive the product.
Sasa kama mimi namna hii na fimbo yangu hii, mimi siwezi kuenda hata kwa zero board ati napanga laini. Utaniangusha hata naanguka chini. Serikali tumikumbukeko kama walemavu nyeko area hii.
Sasa unapata wamama waka hapo viwete hawezi kusimama na mbolea yenyewe haionekani. Mbolea yenyewe watu wa makari wanakuja, wale wa maroli ndio wanapepa mbolea nyingi, lakini sisi wa mfuko moja ama 2-3 hatupati. Sasa tunaomba tu Lusaka aangalie.
Bishop Masika, however, urged those who will be fortunate to receive the subsidized fertilizer to make good use of it.
Na mbolea inasemekana ya kwamba inatakana iuzwe shilingi 2,500. Hakika hata mimi nilipoenda huko ninunue ili nipeane kwa hao wamama sikuipata. Ilipiti niende kwenye duka na mbolea ya duka iko juu sana, ni shilingi 6,000, ambayo hakika wamama hawa ama watu wengi ambao hawako hapa, watu wasiochiweza, hawawezi kununua. So ni mimi naomba tu ya kwamba hilo jambo waliangalie na waone vile chinzi wanaweza saidia wakulima, kwa sababu tena inji ikikosa chakula ni tatizo.
Radio and TV have remained the two top giants in media consumption despite the rapidly evolving competition from social media and video streaming. According to recent data from the Communications Authority of Kenya, TV and radio have demonstrated higher media consumption patterns compared to social media and video streaming. The recent statistics have highlighted that TV has recorded 57% in both the quarterly fast of 2023 and 2024 and the quarter second of 2023 and 2024, while radio recorded 58% and 57% for the first quarter and the second quarter, respectively. However, there has been an accelerating rate of social media and online video engagement in the past year. The Parliamentary Health Committee will today visit Kenyatta National Hospital to assess its performance. This follows numerous complaints from patients over the laxity in handling them, as well as the quality of services one is offered when admitted at the facility. And finally, in the international scene, President Vladimir Putin won a record post-Soviet landslide in Russia's election on Sunday, cementing his already tight grip of power in a victory he said showed Moscow had been right to stand up to the West and send its troops into Ukraine. Putin, a former KGB lieutenant colonel who first rose to power in 1999, made it clear that the result should send a message to the West that its leaders will have to reckon with him come the next years. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubanga.
All right, on Uhuru Highway, getting out towards the city, we're looking at traffic still continuing. Ring Road Westlands is also pretty busy as you're touching on Chiromo as well. Waiyaki Way, not too bad. I think that has reduced significantly from this morning. Let's take a look at the Thika Superhighway, which was thick with traffic, still is, coming in from Survey out towards the underpass. All right, so we're taking a look at also what's coming in on Kiambu Road. A little bit of that left as you approach then Muthaiga Square. All right, let's let's keep an eye on things, and we'll see what happens in about half hour or so. We're getting out of traffic hour. Let's talk on SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Eight minutes after 9, how are you doing? On to the final hour of the Situation Room this morning. And if you have not made that call, please make that call. 0725 000 222. 0725 000 222. This is the number for Username Investments Limited. Who's Username Investments Limited? This is the company behind Serenity Springs in Lanet, Nakuru County. Lanet is within Nakuru City, okay? It's one of the suburbs of Nakuru City. Now, Username Investments has secured one huge piece of land, and they are saying we can actually have a residential estate here. Where is this? It's in Lanet, where along the road from Nakuru to, what's that place called? Ol Kalau. It's a tarmac road, okay? Barabara ni lami. So, on that road, that is one edge of that piece of land. The other one, inside. There's a huge, magnificent gate that's been put up. It's ready. There's a perimeter fence. It's ready. There's Maram roads inside. Ready. Transformer ya steamer. There. Ready. Borehole and water reticulation. Ready. What's not? Trees have been planted for greenery. Ready. What's not ready is you.
So you get ready.
And we want you to get ready. Only 1.499 million shillings for an eighth of an acre. And you can actually even buy this over 12 months. So go call them today, make a conversation, start a conversation, say, this is how much I can pay. If you can pay it in 30 days, fantastic.
And
if you can pay cash, fantastic. If you can pay in 3 months, fantastic.
All inclusive.
All inclusive.
There is nothing that is going to be added.
Nothing, eh?
No, nothing.
Not 1.499 and then...
No. None of these are prices where you pay this. Yeah, there was also...
Sasa unajua, hii watu ya Kenya Power, sasa unajua, nini imekuja, wanaitisha.
Yes, lakini wao si shida sana. Hawa watu wa KRA. Now, there will be no such story.
This is the amount... You get your title. It's not that now you buy and then you have to wait until 50 people have bought so that we can go and process titles in bulk. No, titles are ready. Okay? The title for your piece of land is ready. It will be transferred. It will be your individual transaction. You bought title, LR number, blah, 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 blah. Let's now transfer from us to you individually. Hakuna mother title, I don't know, aga, subdivide, aga, 50 people, aga,
mutations, used to
Nah. 0725 000 222 or SMS the word plot 20321. City, you said today's proverb is from Burundi.
Yes, it's from Burundi.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. What's the proverb again?
Well, one of the things that is interesting about East Africa is the number of languages that we speak and which we consider to be acceptable, if not national. In Burundi, for instance, they speak Urundi. Yes. They speak French. They speak English. Yes. And they have a parliament. They have an upper house and they have a lower house. Just like us.
Wow.
Believe it or not. Okay? Now, they even have a president. Then they have a VP. Then Then they have a prime minister.
They're
See?
doing really well.
No, they are doing well. We are the ones who are lagging behind, but we have prime cabinet secretaries.
Buana.
So we're not that far away.
Buana.
Anyway, every new day, every new information. Tomorrow, I will tell you the name of the president, the VP, and the prime minister.
Okay. Okay.
So now to the proverb.
Okay.
You cannot hide the smoke of the hut you set on fire.
You cannot hide the smoke of the hut you set on fire. Very good.
Yes.
That's true.
Very good.
You set it on fire knowing the smoke. Everyone will see the smoke and they'll ask who set this house on fire.
Okay. Okay. Many stories in the papers today, Ndu?
Yeah. Split the police is one of the big ones that CS for Interior, Kidero Kindiki, said.
Split the police.
Give APs their old roles to rein in security. We need to look at the genesis of this in terms of what happened in the first place, right? So the amalgamation of the National Police Service meant that all roles would come under one, isn't it? And so essentially what you had was a collapsing of the administration police, and then they were now all brought in under the umbrella of the National Police Service. You then had one Inspector General, and then you have two deputy IGs, okay? One IG was left over administration police, the other deputy was on the other side.
Yes.
Okay? Now, things have been happening over the last few months, and there's been a rise in insecurity. Some of the things that they mention, essentially that brought on this conversation, is that, so there was the announcement, and the cabinet secretary said, you know what, bring these fellas back in their traditional roles because there's been a surge in crime. Okay? There has been a report that came out, and that one of the things that he's alluding to is that there's been security threats have been heightened, and that there's a sluggish response to criminal activities after the merger of the police units into one service. That they saw this heightened insecurity and this heightened crime after the merger. So what does that allude to? That prior to this merger, that administration police were actually able to have an eye on some of these things.
Yeah, how do we know it's administration police and not the national police?
Good question. Now, the merger, according to the document, has worsened insecurity, and this was clear according to this report. It is important to note that some officers have lost their lives due to this exposure. This situation tends to instill fear among officers, negatively affecting their performance and overall service delivery. This is according to what they're calling the policy guidance and direction on the establishment of the National Government Administration Police Unit. Now, the AP now serve under the National Police Service, which was established in 2011 under Article 243 of the Constitution following the dissolution of the Kenya Police Force, right? And Administration Police Force. The NPS is under the overall and independent command of the Inspector General of Police, who is appointed by the President and approved by Parliament. Now, the Administration Police Service is headed by a Deputy Inspector General, like I was telling you about. So the service, in name of service, still exists. All right? Now, during the launch of policy framework and strategy for reorganization of the NPS, former President Uhuru Kenyatta stated that the merger aimed to eliminate waste, duplication, and overlapping of duties. That is why they were brought together in the first place. However, the Interior Ministry argues that there has been a prolonged turnaround time in proactively responding to distress, emergencies, insecurity, and conflict, especially at the grassroots level. We're not talking about in the city and cops on the beat. We're not talking about that, right? We're talking about out there, whatever there is. Now, they say that we've been asking for help. There's been insecurity. We need people to come. We have been saying that we've been sending out distress calls. Nobody has come. Emergencies, by definition, mean that we need somebody to come when? Now. Immediately. That has not happened. So now they've said that this delay has hampered crime prevention efforts, it has undermined security coordination, and it has impeded law enforcement. All of these three things happening as a result of the lack of timely response.
I swear.
Do you understand? Okay. Now, according to the ministry, Overall, this has had an adverse effect on security coordination. We're not able to do our things properly. Crime prevention, we cannot prevent crime as we were doing before, one would assume. We do not maintain law and order. My goodness. There is no promotion of peace and service delivery. We cannot do our job because you people are not answering us quickly. There's so much bureaucracy, this, who is supposed to agree. It's not working. Now, they're saying urgent redress is required with the establishment of a National Government Administration Police Unit. We'll call it NGAPU. That is the solution. Give us people who their job is when we call, they will say answer. Very good.
Okay.
They've also highlighted the vulnerability of government offices, particularly at the county level, to theft, arson, and other criminal activities due to a decline in support from the National Police Service.
Okay.
That when there was this amalgamation, we saw that, okay, answering you, we need somebody. Okay, see, you're part of us. We'll tell you when that'll happen. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen as quickly as they would like. And they say that this was since the implementation of policy reforms in 2010. Most national government offices at the county level remain unguarded, posing safety and security risks to property, assets, documents, and data. Incidents of theft, arson, and break-ins have been reported in several counties. So they're unmanned. We need people. You've not answered us. Come on. The only way to answer this is by giving us NGAPU. NGAPU will then, according to the report, provide security and support to the National Government Administration offices already existing called NGAUs, safeguard officials and government property, and combat alcohol and drug abuse. So now you see how that alcohol and drug abuse story, we can also bring NGAPU to support the NGAUs and make sure that this alcohol and drug abuse is starting to do what? Is starting to reduce.
Okay.
They said NGAPU is needed because it is
choose another name.
You don't like NGAPU?
No, it's hilarious.
Wait.
It is filling the gap. There is a gap in the fight against crime. Now the
NGAUs cannot do it alone.
Is
so
filling the
NGAPU. Okay? Take it like that, sir. Now, it is underpinned by several constitutional and legal provisions. 1. Article 254 further provides that the Cabinet Secretary responsible for police services may lawfully give a direction to the Inspector General with respect to any other matter of policy for the National Police Service. So this is right there. I can tell you that this is what is needed, and I'm telling you, NGAPU, I've already named it. I've already seen how it will work. I have a policy framework. All you need to do is what?
Okay. So number one, let's first of all start by deconstructing some of these things. Number one, there was never a merger of the two police services. Merger means you come together, you become one. When CBA Bank merged with NIC Bank, it became NCBA Bank. We do not have a CEO for NIC and a CEO for CBA and a one chairman for NCBA. No, we have one structure, one everything. When ICEA merged with Lion of Kenya, they became ICEA Lion. When all KCB, the employees will get one. KCB National Bank, one. All right, you have one CEO. In the case of the National Police Service, it establishes two. The National Police Service, let me read the Constitution.
Thank you very much.
The Constitution of the Republic of Kenya establishes the National Police Service. And it says thus, there is established Article 243(1). There is established the National Police Service. The National Police Service consists of A, Kenya Police Service, and B, the Administration Police Service.
Yeah.
No merger. Are we together?
Yes, please.
The National Police Service is a national service and shall function throughout the Republic of Kenya. Parliament should enact legislation to give full effect to this article. The National Police Service functions strive for the highest standards, prevent corruption, comply with the constitutional standards, train staff, blah, 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 command of the National Police Service. There is established the office of the Inspector General of the National Police Service. The Inspector General is appointed by the President, exercise independent command. The Kenya Police Service and the Administration Police Service shall each be headed by a Deputy Inspector General appointed by the President in accordance with the recommendations of the National Police Service Commission. Let me read. The Kenya Police Service and the Administration Police Service shall each be headed by a Deputy Inspector General of Police. Is that a merger?
No, please.
That is not a merger. These units are kando, they are independent. Okay? Now, the Minister in charge of Interior is supposed to come up with a policy on how this National Police Service shall work and how policing shall help. And I see this is the argument that's being made in this report. That is it's the job of the Ministry of Interior to come up with a policy, and therefore they're recommending a policy where blah, blah, blah shall happen. Now, the question is, what was the wisdom of the drafters of the Constitution in moving away from what we had previously? Because what we had previously was two distinct units with two distinct commands, and those two commands were never, the twain shall meet.
The twain.
They were only meeting under the Minister in charge of Interior. We had the boss, who was called what? Commissioner of Police. Okay.
The other guy was commandant.
The other one was commandant of the Administration Police Service.
Yeah.
The Commissioner of Police and the commandant could not give each other orders.
No.
They could only get orders from the minister. Okay? We depoliticize police and say, now instead of minister, we shall have an IG of police who is answerable to the Police Service Commission. And the IG of police now is the overall, and then you have those two distinct units. Then they go ahead and they said, all right, so let's have the police officers all working together in these areas. What was supposed to have happened? Was supposed to have happened, APs are not trained on law. They don't go to Kiganja to understand the penal code and all those things. So what is it that they were supposed to do? To bring them up to speed on that so that they can help with general policing. Okay? Now here we are saying, this thing has not worked. Let us put the police back to the chief. I see a clawback to an earlier time without necessarily looking at why the failures have occurred in the first place. If they're saying that there's an increase in the level of crime, and yet we have put police stations with more police officers
and police posts,
because previously where we had a police officer living in a chief's camp, now we have a police officer living in a police station. That means that there's command and which is easier. One county police boss is in charge of all officers in that county, right? Including traffic. We know that in a station, the OCS is in charge of all the officers there. Whether they're AP, they're national police, right?
Yes.
Only DCI has a bit of a dotted line. Okay? Now, if we say that we want these guys to go back to the chief, are you saying that police are unable to fight crime because they're in a police station and they are better resourced and equipped to fight crime because they're sleeping in a chief's camp?
Look, I mean,
what's the difference here? I'm not getting what is this that will be the difference?
From what this report says, I mean, this is coming from the CS himself, is that what it would appear as though is that to get folks to be able to go out into the, remember, because he said this at the grassroots level, this is in the counties, outside of what you would assume are your police stations, that in order to have that, there's a certain line of bureaucracy that they've not been able to get through. That's what he's saying. That they have tried, that they've said, look, we need people to come out into these areas, and it's taken time to actually get any kind of answers for the requests that they have made. So rather than us having to come to you every time to say, release people, yeah, because yes, we understand that, I mean, they're under you. For us to have to come and say, release people every time, just give us this unit that we know we'll be able to deploy at any given time. We don't have to come back to you to ask for, oh, please give us somebody. We need somebody to go out into wherever tomorrow. So this is what he has alluded to, and I don't think he's even alluding. He's just saying it outright. That we have seen heightened crime, we have seen these issues. We don't have people manning county offices, for example, and we see a lot of drama going on where there's been theft, arson, there's no security when it comes to the protection of data and things like that. And we have made requests for such, for such security to be heightened. It has not happened. So give us these guys.
Why? Why has that not happened?
And I think that's the thing, because he doesn't want to deal with the why anymore. It would sound as though this is coming from a point of slight frustration that he's not addressing the why. And instead of addressing the why, he's just saying, you know what, we're not going to deal with this drama anymore. Within my purview, as has also been given me right by the Constitution, I am coming up with a framework policy. This policy is in the enactment of this unit. So we don't have to come and keep asking you all the time so that we can see the reduction of crime. Give us the unit, we deal. In terms of the why,
the unit?
Ourselves, as the operation of the ministry, as the operation of the administration of the police.
So, okay, with this move, one question would be: would then the APs, this Ngapu, would it continue to be under the National Police Service Commission, or would it be detached from the National Police Service Commission?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Look,
right? I mean, what are we talking about here? If we say that there is Ngapu, what is Ngapu in full again, Ndu?
Ngapu
is the National Government Administration Police Unit.
Unit, yes.
Okay.
Can I tell you, just quickly, before I lose that thought, He said, the ministry said that the unit will serve crucial functions, including providing security and assistance to the National Government Administration, that's the NGAOs, in their duties safeguarding GAOs, offices and official residences, aiding in campaigns against alcohol and drug abuse, and ensuring security during public events such as barazas. Okay, sorry. It was there. I just had to finish.
You think that is bizarre?
So
I have something I'm going to read for you that I think should tickle you completely.
Okay.
So he's saying Kindiki is supposed to, according to policy, engage the IG to establish Ngapu to bolster NGAOs and other government agencies in their service delivery mandates. So there's still, because he has to engage the IG, it's still under the auspices of the National Police Service.
Okay.
Okay, so there's the answer to your question.
You know, there was something called a constitution. We called it the 2010 constitution.
There was?
Yes.
Okay.
There was, still is. I mean, there was a time it wasn't there. So when it became, it was. But before that, there was, as is the norm in Kenya, a task force set in 2003 to draw a roadmap for police reforms. Okay? Just a little history. Now, among the things that they were hoping to achieve, beyond just understanding that security is a basic human right. Okay, it's not something that a citizen should plead for. Kenya, as a member state of the United Nations, also has to, unfortunately for them, adhere to Article 3 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's not complicated. This one is fairly straightforward. But among the things that the Commission of Police was supposed to be committed to in regard to providing the security and ensuring that these reforms are implemented was the following. And I am reading. The Commission of Police, that is when we had a commissioner, is committed to a police force that whose members are motivated, listen very carefully, people-friendly, open, relaxed, and honest with one another and the public, and know the role and mandate and be proud of their job, and they're appreciated by the public. Now tell me, this was long before we got to the point where we had an IG. When we got an IG, are we saying that we failed to achieve this? Are we saying that, because at the end of the day, policing is as much a factor of the people who are employed as police officers as it is the public.
Indeed.
Because in the absence of the support from the public, policing becomes almost a nightmare. Or should I be more accurate, an impossibility. Okay. Of the things that I mentioned, which of these were achieved, which of these things were not achieved? And as we talk about a reformed police force that is now called a police service, okay? The service that is being provided, are we saying that the relationship they have, because service has to do relationship with the public, does one see, read about the reform, does one see a change? What am I asking? I'm asking a simple question. Security is a pillar. In the absence of security or the provision of it thereof, it is impossible for a country to plan for its prosperity. It's impossible for a country to even promise prosperity and security for people who would then wish to do business with the country. It's important. It's imperative. It's not something that you can talk about in an academic fashion. It's something that has to be real and something that has to be seen. Now, if it isn't seen, then the question we need to ask is, what is the matter? What really is the matter? What is going wrong?
True. And then, in addition to that, have we actually seen, because when they were all, they were not merged, that was clear, because you still have the head of both of these points, right? So they did not merge, but they were essentially both brought under the service, okay? Have we actually seen, and I think we'd have to, because we're looking at dates. What dates are we looking at? When this move happened? When it became a service and not a force was when? The date.
Service.
Yeah.
Constitution.
2010, right? Have we seen that significantly from 2010 until the time we speak now, that there has been an increase in this insecurity that we speak of, because now folks have been removed from their posts, as it were? That's
what this report is citing. It's citing several reports. For example, according to the Economic Survey 2023 report, crime rate surged by 8% in 2022, with 81,272 cases reported in 2021, 69,000 in 2020. So there's been a gradual increase in reported cases of crime.
Right.
And they're saying that this is because now we have some poor coordination of security response at the grassroots level because of this matter. Because down there, we have had, and I think this is a confusion that came in from the very beginning, when you now said that you have National Police Service and AP are no longer going to work under the chief, under DO and the DC. They'll now have to come to a police station because previously they were not in a police station. So are we going to have, initially we had an OCPD, AP, OCPD, National Police Service. It brought chaos because you have two OCPDs,
two
OCSs, it was, let's have one. So it doesn't matter. The OCS here could be a guy originally from AP or originally from National Police Service. Now, the police officers here are under the command of this one guy. He deploys, he commands. But now we are saying that one is not working. What we need is a chief na kiraoni yake to be the one who commands so that they can maintain order. Instead of people heckling Dr. Hillary Barchok in front of the president, if we had
guys there, they would not have done it.
If we had
people would not have been removing their clothes. Order. That's what we're saying.
Let's take a break. What do you think? Do you agree with this proposal by the Interior Ministry? Split the police, give APs their old roles to rein in security. And what are those old roles again, Ndu? Work under the chief. And
to be stationed at county offices and to instill law and order and to also see the reduction of crime.
Working directly with the national government administration officers.
To also see the reduction of drug and alcohol abuse, please. Very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you agree with this proposal? What are your thoughts on it? Let's hear from you after this break. 0719012600.
All right, let's see what's left of it this morning. Much better on the Thika Superhighway. I think you'll be able to get from Kasarani to the underpass in flat. I don't even know how many minutes. Please be careful while you do it. Traffic has reduced significantly. We're also seeing just a little bit of it right around Muthaiga Square as you're heading into the city. Otherwise, dusted. All right, coming off Limuru Road, also that was an absolute mess. There was also epic madness from Kuna Road, Spring Valley, all of this, Kitisuru, Thigiri Ridge. That has disappeared like Poof, oxygen. Okay, what else are we looking at here? Coming off Ngong Road, that has also doing much better. Southern Bypass looking good. Are you going to the city? Enjoy the scenic route. You won't find any traffic there. Even the Eastern Bypass, there's no traffic. Everybody, I said this Monday, we're not playing. We are out proper. Let's talk through the morning. SpiceFM KE on X.
Hi, Abasi, 23 minutes to 10. Let's hear from you. 0719012600. What's the proposal? Create a National Government Administration Police Unit. Everything now is NG.
Yes.
NGCDF, NG Senate Fund, NG NGAF, NG NGAPU.
Yeah.
NG, National Government wants to be everything. Wycliffe in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning, colleagues. How are you?
Very well, thanks. And you?
I'm well, thanks. It's a Monday morning here.
Yes, yes.
Now, let me bring in my 5 cent worth of thought on this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you can remember briefly in the recent past, what has happened is there was a time that chiefs were supposed to be given guns. There was that discussion in some quarters. Where it ended, it didn't go far, but I mean, it's still some discussion that is under wraps. And then bringing that is the discussion that has been around illicit brews and drug abuse. That again is a hot topic in some areas, but generally across the entire country. Now, on the ground, if you go, what happens is that chiefs and the administration at the grassroots level have lost the mandate, have lost the power to undertake or to oversee the decrease in illicit brew and this drug abuse. And so what I think the government is trying to do is to bring back the police back into ensuring that there is force behind chief's action to end brews. And you can be able to tell, I mean, the anger with which brews and this illicit brews and drug abuse has been a hot topic. Now, why do I say this? Because essentially, what has been happening is that the chiefs would go arrest these illicit brewers to the station.
Mm-hmm.
And after they have brought them to the station, they will bribe their way out of the police cells. Then the chiefs would again repeat the same cycle again. So we end up with a situation where you come, arrest, take us in, but then, we will come out anyway. And then they lost that. Then the other option would be to go break those pots. And then there was now the element of now chiefs became enemies of progress in the village. So they are left with a situation where they can't be able to deal with it. So in my own
Let me ask you, Wycliffe.
Yes.
Why can't the local OCS
yes.
be given the mandate? No. The expectation to enforce the law.
Yes.
Brews are illegal. Law enforcement is a National Police Service function.
Yes. Yes.
So why is the OCS unable to enforce the law? Why?
Now, corruption. In our system, corruption is something that is widespread, and it has been, and it's in public domain that dealing with illicit brews is a function. That is a responsibility of the chiefs, and it's common knowledge. Like if there is illicit brews within your locality, the first contact person to be held responsible is the chief, the area chief. What are you doing about it? But you see, the chief is also handicapped because he have the police within his purview, such that he can be able to tell the police, come on, we have this evidence, arrest these guys, take them to court, let them be punished. so that this is something that is dealt with for good. So the responsibility is with the chiefs, but then the police also now they are just to, you bring them, we collect the bribes, and let it go. But it's not our responsibility anyway. I mean, it's illegal, yes, but in the public view, the responsibility is with the chief. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that is the perception out there. So
you support the proposal to establish Ngapu?
Don't support. If at all the system was working, such that the police would enforce this responsibility. Because I've been to the ground, and this is a discussion, that I have had going on. I was there about a week ago, and in one of the funerals, and this discussion on illicit brews was very hot. And so the question that I asked one of the chiefs was, look, what is it that is happening? They say, we are helpless. We are helpless. We are only left with breaking the pots. And if we break the pots, we come back. There's a social element. We are in the community, and these people will come to us. There's one lady who sent their children to the chief and said, "Come, go to the chief to give you school fees because they came and broke my pots." So there's the social element.
If this chief had a police officer, he'd have arrested that woman.
Even if you would have arrested, yes, the woman. Yes, and they would have arrested, and they file charges, and they are punished. But you see, if they don't have the police with them, it's an exercise in futility. And the illicit brews, you understand, high up the chain, illicit brews is something that, some quarters I don't want to mention, is taking seriously because it's tainting images out there. So there has to be some policy decisions regarding it.
Thank you, Wycliffe.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. 0719-012-600. Do you support this proposal to establish a National Government Administration Police Unit, NGAPU, to work with chiefs and National Government Administration officers to enforce the law at community level? This is a conversation that actually started a couple of years back. There's some news article that was in 2022 when Professor Kithure Kindiki had taken over as the boss. November 17th, 2022, a story published on the Citizen Digital. The government has pledged to assign at least 5 police officers to chiefs by next year in a move that aims at empowering the grassroots administrators. He was speaking at the Mtwapa location's chief office in Kilifi County, where Professor Kithure Kindiki said all 3,950 chiefs and their 9,043 assistants countrywide would be allocated the officers in a bid to foster law and order in their governance. This is what he said. We are working towards reorganizing ourselves between the National Government Administration officers and the police to ensure, as it was before, that every chief has police officers attached to them to enable them to be able to enforce the law and order. Full circle, this is now the product of what the professor was talking about 2 years ago. Is it a good move? I don't see how it changes things.
Because what would have released people to come out before?
Look, for me, the National Government Administration officers are just that. They're administration officers. They are the people who are supposed to be collecting information and disseminating information to the public. When you have ward administrators who work for the county government, their job is not enforcement necessarily. Their job is to coordinate what is happening on ground and up. The police service have a role of law enforcement. Now, when you start saying that, chief now come arrest people, chief atashika watu wa kupika chang'aa, chief, and then we have a police officer there, the police. If people like we saw in Kirinyaga, people were arrested with what was considered illicit brew, it was taken to a police station. The police, it's alleged, went ahead and resold this same exhibit back to the population. Those are weaknesses in the structure of the administration of the National Police Service. Fix those.
This is the thing.
Don't tell us that now you take the brew and take it to the chief. Chief pia alikuwa anajulikana mara mingi sana. Chief favors a certain brewer over another brewer.
Yeah. Well, I must be honest, I'm a bit confused as to how this is going to solve the problem that you've just named. So, because we're not bringing in a whole new bunch of people from somewhere. These individuals who will make up Ngapu already exist. They are there. The administration police today, right? For me, it seems that there's a chain of command issue, that there is a social infrastructure issue, that if you say this and this is needed and it has not been done, that's what ought to be dealt with. The creation of a unit doesn't really make any difference here or there as far as I'm concerned. That if you say that there has been a heightened level of crime, you've not been able to deal with it. You have not been able to deal with it. So can you look at the root of the problem? Because now creation of this unit, what does it change?
Yeah.
Except for creation of a unit.
Maybe we should look at what was AP before.
Yeah.
And what was AP's. How is AP serving the political class and the political rulers?
Start with the chief. Yeah. And the role of the AP within the structure of the chief. The Chiefs Act, as we called it then, was a very, very powerful act. Very, very powerful. I mean, the chief was an extremely powerful. They call it the Chiefs Authority Act. Believe me. At independence, before independence, there wasn't really much of a difference. A chief could grind
was
you.
Government.
That person would grind you to a halt. Remember, the office of the chief was set. You know, I said it earlier on. To give Africans discipline.
I like what you said. Say discipline.
Discipline. Africans are known for their unruly behavior. So you brought one of their own to put them in line, and in check. Wow. Yes, and they were chosen from among them. He's not an outsider. Somebody you know, your neighbor, your relative. And then they were given AP, Administration Police. Okay? To help enforce the law. Now, it's understood what that was meant for. Then we have independence, and we still have them. Okay, so this discipline now was still required. And we were independent, we had a president. Okay?
The whole idea was to transform that from now being an enforcement into a coordination function, right? So you know that this is what the national government is doing. You coordinate that at local level. You know that this is what needs to be done. You coordinate. You're like local manager, like what we have ward administrators doing. Today. You're the local manager at the local level. That's it. This enforcement story, I don't buy it. Ken in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
What do you make of the proposal?
The proposal is nice, but I believe that what we need as a society is we need to move towards an approach that does not involve only the government, because the actual players within government seem to be just playing lip service to the issue. If you look at the way things work on the ground, the local chief, the local police, the OCS, they know who is brewing illicit brew. They know how much that person is making, and they do their rounds and get a way of, benefiting in one way or another. That is why these things keep on mushrooming. They don't come out. They never get closed fully because there's also money involved. If we are going to actually come up with a new way of tackling this thing, we have to bring in more players so that we break the conspiracy between those people who are on the ground policing the issue, those people who are brewing the illicit brew, and we now bring a third party that cannot be corrupted.
Who's this?
Personally, I don't know. I'm thinking we have to think about it. Is it the local community? Is it, can we be able to pick people within the local community and say, you are now the citizens to work and stop it at the ground level?
Why do we need a third party? You have a lawbreaker, you have a law enforcer. What's the third party? The third party is the judiciary. So once the law enforcer has arrested you and taken you through the process, and the third party is the arbitrator, isn't it?
The problem we have is that the law enforcer is not enforcing the law. They are in a conspiracy with the lawbreaker.
Okay. So how do we hold them accountable?
This is why we need a third party to break the conspiracy.
Okay. This third party, can it be the chief?
It can't be the chief. it has to be someone who is not within government. In fact, I think that you see the way Wamamas come on the street and they demonstrate against illicit brew.
Yep.
When they do it, for a few months, there is quiet. We should be able to rope in these people and say, you are now part and parcel of enforcing this thing and making sure it does not continue. Because, number one, we are part and parcel of the people who are affected by illicit brew. But we are trying to move the problem to law enforcement, who just go and collect their bribe, tell this person don't sell for 1 week, and then after 1 week, the guy is back in business.
I get what you say. So local accountability could be the community policing structure that has a nyumba kumi.
Yes, we need to move to local. Even if hata nikikundi tu ya wamama, we say we are adding 3 or 4 of you here, and if so-and-so is identified as a brewer, we have to follow up all the way until prosecution, and this has to stop. So that even if this person is able to corrupt the local police, they are not able to corrupt the local citizenry, who are actually the ones who are bearing the brunt of this illicit brew.
Okay. I see your point.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ken. 0719-012-600. I see Mwalimu Irongo Amos had tried calling. Mwalimu, call back. What is Masagana saying on
So he
YouTube?
said in 2003 to 2007, Kenya Police Service's strategic plan is yet to be fully implemented, and here they are trying different ideas. Provincial administration is unconstitutional and should go. Okay. MM says Prof. Kindiki is complicating issues. New construction had a different role. I think you meant constitution, had a different role for chiefs. It also presupposed that the OCS will take over certain roles around security that the chief did. Okay. According to Margaret Wanjohi, she believes that this is the scalar principle. A subordinate should receive instruction from one supervisor to avoid confusion, so that the issue of police and AP is a leadership problem. It is not all these other things that you're talking about. Etc. Etc.
Like that. Mwalimu Irongo Amos.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How have you been, guys?
We are well. How are you this year?
Well, I'm okay.
Mwalimu, ulienda retire ama bado unafunza?
No, I'm still very young. But I've been unwell for quite some time, but I'm recovering.
Okay.
Yes. Now, let me comment. We don't need any other establishment apart from the one we have now. The government needs to come down and ask the people what they need, although that one is also not very necessary. Let me state what I think here. One, there is a problem between the administration police officers with the national police officers. The ones they find at the station. In fact, if you go there, you will always see that the APs appear a little inferior. I mean, from the way they're treated.
How?
If I may ask you, for example, who takes a suspect to court?
The DPP.
The DPP.
And who is supposed to who is the investigating officer?
The police.
DCI.
The DCI.
So when we talk about the DCI, or when we talk about the police, I just want us to start from the crime office. Those of us who have been there for various reasons, we've listened to these guys. The APs will always tell you that the OCS and does not regard them as much as the ones he considers his officers. This problem has been there for a very long time, even before they came on board. In fact, when they used to stay at the chief's office, they appeared to be having their own sort of, I could say, their own sort of, let me use the word democracy for lack of a better word. So here, I think most of them are not very comfortable. That's not even a big problem because time is running out. Let me say this. If we want to eliminate or reduce crime, because we may not eliminate it, I think Kindiki is missing a very big point to this one.
Which one?
When people are arrested, those who have broken the law, and let me particularly talk about these ones who brew illicit, whatever, liquor. They are always released from the police stations. They go back, wanarudishwa mitungi yao. We have seen these things happening every day. Now, the chief is another problem, and the assistant. They solicit these bribes openly and giving them some sort of office where you return the APs to them will embolden their resolve now to collect bribes, because everybody is aware that they conduct some sort of a court in the station, in the office, in the chief's office there. So what is required is not necessarily giving the chiefs more police officers or whatever it is, their own APs. No. What is required is let the chiefs be taken for real training. What they do to your students is they come back, they know nothing. Number two, let every person who is suspected to have committed a crime, for example, these people who make these illicit brews, let them be taken to court. If we continue lying to ourselves, oh no, the chief needs protection, they cannot arrest people. They arrest to ask for bribes. What is required is you have arrested them.
Take them to court.
You have the peace. Are they taken to court? I think what we need more, because time is running out, is integrity to be followed up at every angle. Hii mambo ingine asitengeneze tu hii maybe labda kama ni ya kuprotect national office officials wasipigiwe kelele baby. Thank you.
Thank you, Rongo. Thank you very much, Rongo Amos. Wajohi is saying something.
Joy says that the chief and headman were very powerful during the emergency, 1952 to 1961, and post-independence. They were feared by all and sundry in the community. So, reinstallation of
These
that.
are hang-ups of the old days.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling it's the people in the National Interior Ministry who are used to, having that kind of uncontrolled and checked power, wanting it back. Well, this conversation has just begun. Let's see how it unfolds. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Situation Room today. Everybody who's joined us on Facebook, on YouTube, on SpiceFM, those who caught the conversations on TV as well. The conversations will continue. We'll find all these clips available on social media. Do have yourselves a lovely day. Have a lovely Monday. We'll be back tomorrow morning, God willing. It's now 10 a.m.